Chapter 646. You have the root of wisdom. All at once, the whole area was a mess. All the families and sects from the East Continent were buzzing about Zhu Kei's appearance. Some of them hated Zhu Kei to the core. Some of them cast greedy eyes at Zhu Kei's spirit stones. Now that Zhu Kei was an ordinary person, they were in an uproar and instantly wanted to kill him. People of the Sky Incense Valley were dumbfounded immediately. They had just arrived at this place yesterday and didn't know he caused such big trouble in the East Continent. They thought him offending some powerhouses had caused the destruction of his cultivation. However, they hadn't expected Zhu Kei to have offended all the big families and sects in the East Continent. The Zhang family, the Gong family, the Bei family, the Illusionary Flower and Moon sect and the Heavenly Demon sect of the East Continent, as well as the Carefree Building, which is famous in the four continents. An elder at the infant transformation stage of the Sky Incense Valley, who was wet with cold sweat, read the names of these families and sects in a low voice. He swallowed laboriously. These families and sects were titans of the East Continent. Any of them could easily eradicate the Sky Incense Valley, and Zhu Kei had offended all of them. Zhang Suliang and Teng Zuoru were also stunned. Before their arrival, the Sky Incense Valley had described to them all the big families and sects of the four continents. They knew well of the size and strength of these big families and sects, but they never expected the enemies understated by Zhu Kei were these big families and sects. What the hell? This guy hasn't changed at all. Wherever he goes, he makes trouble and offends the toughest opponents. Now they were a little bit scared and realized why Zhu Kei was refusing the help of the Sky Incense Valley. If he didn't refuse, the Sky Incense Valley would soon be eradicated. Alas, all of you are prestigious cultivators. Why do you insist on giving an ordinary person such a hard time? Zhu Kei calmly asked the many big families and sects. He wasn't laying low because he thought the conditions were perfect. Now he'd become the focal point of this area. If Nguyen Jude was nearby, he would also be attracted to this area soon. Besides people from the East Continent, there were also a lot of people from the South Continent, the West Desert and the North Sea. Most of them didn't know Zhu Kei's deeds. Therefore, these people were puzzled and quite curious about how an ordinary person could offend so many big families and sects. All at once, countless people started to investigate Zhu Kei and his cultivation stage with their soul strengths. However, they found nothing. He was indeed an ordinary person. An ordinary person? You killed so many members of our family. A powerhouse of the Zhang family shouted angrily. Have you forgotten that? Why didn't you claim to be an ordinary person then? You can't ever avoid this blood debt. You have to pay it back. People of the Gong family also glared darkly at Zhu Kei. People from the Bei family and the Carefree Building took out their magic artifacts and prepared to attack Zhu Kei. I know I've killed too many people, which makes me extremely ashamed. I destroyed my cultivation to repay my blood debt. I've also taken an oath that I won't kill people anymore. So, please don't bother me again. Zhu Kei finished sincerely as if he were an eminent monk who, disillusioned with the mortal world, was repenting his past mistakes. Most of the families and sects in this area were shocked in disbelief. You destroyed your cultivation because you killed too many people? How can he be so foolish? Is it for real? Bullshit. You are too shameless. People of the families and sects from the East Continent denounced angrily, the corners of their mouths twitching. All of them knew Zhu Kei didn't have any Taoist connotation, so he'd destroyed his cultivation to start over. It seemed his plan had failed. Amitabha. An old monk at the infant transformation stage stepped out from the crowd and pressed his palms together devoutly. Young almsgiver, I am impressed by your consciousness. I guess you must be a man with the root of wisdom. I wonder whether you could join our great hermit temple and become a devout Buddhist by seeing through the vanity of life. The great hermit temple. Hearing the name of the temple, many people were shocked. It was one of the 10 ancient temples in the West Desert, which was time-honored and quite powerful. How could they be interested in a waste of a person like Zhu Kei? Amitabha. Old monk, thanks for your kind invitation. However, I don't want to cut my hair and become a monk. Zhu Kei replied in a nondescript manner and placed his palms together like the old monk. The old monk was not annoyed. He smiled calmly like an enlightened statue. Young almsgiver, after cutting your hair, you will be free from human desires and passions. I think you have an affinity for Buddhism. You really want to reject my invitation? Yes. Actually, I also feel I have an affinity for Buddhism. However, I don't want to become a Buddhist monk right now. As the saying goes, one can eat meat and drink wine as long as there is Buddha in his heart. For me, I will keep Buddha in my heart wherever I go, so I can also be considered a Buddhist. Zhu Ke narrated his absurd theory with a smile. The old monk was mildly stunned. He hadn't expected Zhu Ke to say those words, so he didn't know how to reply for a moment. The other onlookers were also surprised and thought Zhu Ke's words were full of zen. Young almsgiver, you may have misunderstood us. Meat and wine are not forbidden for Buddhists. You have the root of wisdom. As long as you have Buddha in your heart, you will be a Buddhist anywhere. However, you should join our great hermit temple so that you can learn more Buddhist truths. You will be most likely to rescue yourself from a life of pains and misery and reach the other shore of salvation. As he spoke, the old monk became more and more interested in Zhu Ke, so he continued trying to convert him. Thanks, but no thanks. I have an affinity for Buddhism, but I have more of an affinity to the world of mortals. Zhu Ke smiled as he refused. No matter if the meat and wine were forbidden or not, he didn't want to cut his hair. Moreover, after all his experience in this world of cultivators, he believed that instead of his so-called root of wisdom, there was another reason the old monk wanted to take him back to his temple. Alas, in that case, I won't insist on it. Amitabha. The old monk sighed with a shake of his head and left. However, when the old monk got into the crowd, he called over a young monk and sent a message in a low voice. Go back immediately and report to the abbot that this guy has a kind of aura much like the god of hell's compulsion, a Buddhist physique-strengthening art which has been lost for a long time. At the same time, people from the East Continent encircled Zhu Ke again after the old monk left. However, they didn't attack Zhu Ke immediately, for all of them heard the news that Zhu Ke was protected by over a dozen powerhouses at the infant transformation stage. Every protector was extremely powerful and was almost invincible among the cultivators at the same cultivation stage of the protector. Now they tried to flush out Zhu Ke's protectors so that they could evaluate whether they could take down Zhu Ke easily. After all powerhouses at the void training stage in their families or sects had entered the Mystery Land. Most of the ones who were still outside the Mystery Land were old guys at the infant transformation stage who could never reach the void training stage in this life. However, Zhu Ke didn't take these people seriously. He looked around and tried to find out whether Duanjud was here. He hadn't met Duanjud before. Therefore, it was quite difficult for him to distinguish Duanjud among so many old guys around him. Little brat, what are you waiting for? Just order your protectors to kill these reckless old guys directly. Stop wasting our precious time for treasure hunt on them. Buttface urged impatiently. He planned to enter the Mystery Land as soon as possible to find the treasury pavilion he'd seen last time. Zhu Ke also didn't think they should waste time here, so he looked at the crowd and shouted, Duanjud, you shameless fool, how dare you pretend to be my master? You're even not qualified to be my apprentice. If you're not a coward, step out and have a one-on-one with me. Chapter 647. A combination of weirdos. Wow! The entire area fell in an uproar instantly. Everyone was shocked. Zhu Ke dared to abuse and provoke Duanjud in front of so many people. That was something even the big families and sects didn't have the nerve to do. He abused so loudly as if he was seeking for his death. People of the Sky Incense Valley freaked out, for they didn't expect Zhu Ke could be so reckless. Oh, no. What the hell is this guy going to do? The old man of the Sky Incense Valley said bitterly. Suddenly, he was grateful that Zhu Ke didn't join the Sky Incense Valley, or their entire sect would be wiped off. Zhang Suliang and Teng Zuoru were also astonished together with the rest people of the Sky Incense Valley. Zhu Ke was so overbearing for them, he dared to make troubles like this after destructing his cultivation. Maybe they couldn't find another person like him in this world. Zhu Ke ignored their shocked expression. He didn't get any response from the crowds, so he shouted again by furrowing his eyebrows, "Dwajude, do you have the nerve to face me here? Dwajude, I don't want to waste my time. If you don't come out, you will be considered as the loser. I agree to use only one hand during our fight. Dwajude, Dwajude, your mom is waiting for you at the school gate with a box of milk drink in her hand. Dwajude, your mom asks you to go home and have dinner. The harder Zuke shouted, the more dumbfounded those onlookers became. They used to see reckless people, but this was the first time for them to see a guy who was so reckless by offending Dwajude in this way. At this time, the families and sects from the East Continent stepped back suddenly as if they had reached a tacit agreement. They stopped to surround Zuke after hearing his abuse as if Zuke had become a dead man for them. Finally, someone who couldn't stand his noise shouted, "Dwajude has entered the Taiyuan Mystery Land." "It is useless to shout here. You could find him in the Mystery Land." "What? He has entered the Mystery Land?" Zuke was stunned. What was this Dwajude going to do? After provoking Zuke, he just entered the Mystery Land when Zuke had arrived at this place. Damn, this coward chose to hide in the Mystery Land after hearing my arrival. HMPH, I've never seen a shameless person like him. Zuke was so annoyed for he didn't know whether he could find Dwajude in the Mystery Land. The onlookers rolled their eyes speechlessly. Who is the shameless one? Dwajude chose to hide in the Mystery Land because he is afraid of you? Little brat. You are too arrogant. Dwajude just ignored your existence. He knew you don't have the never to come here, so he entered the Mystery Land. Stay out of my way. Anyone who get in my way should face the consequences. Zuke didn't want to waste his time here. He pushed away a guy from the Zhang family in front of him and stepped towards the entrance of the Mystery Land. However, the Zhang family didn't stop him but made way for him directly. They just looked at Zuke sarcastically as if they had known Zuke would be killed after entering the Mystery Land. When Zuke arrived at the entrance of the Mystery Land, the light curtain at the entrance lit up abruptly. Then, two strands of light flew out and landed in front of Zuke and Dwajude. A jade plate? Zuke was confused when he saw a jade plate falling out from the light curtain. Little brat. You could enter the Mystery Land after shouting out your name and your sect. Buttface reminded him at this time. Zuke fixed his eyes on the giant stone tablet outside the entrance of the Mystery Land. Then, he understood Buttface's words and said with a smile, "This is Zuke of the Exploding Heavens faction." Swish, the jade plate lit up. Then, several rows of small characters appeared on it, which were Zuke of the Exploding Heavens faction. "I am the mighty king of the Exploding Heavens faction." Buttface also shouted majestically at the same time. His name also appeared on his jade plate. "Holy shit, Buttface, you lied about your name," Zuke said disdainfully. "Damn, this is my real name," Buttface retorted. Zuke smiled and said no more. Then, he stepped towards the entrance of the Mystery Land with the jade plate in his hand. Also at this time, the light curtain at the entrance of the Mystery Land was distorted. Ouch! Before the onlookers had time to realize what happened, a figure flew out of the entrance and fell on the ground along with his scream. At first glance, it seemed he was kicked out by someone from inside. Soon, that figure, who looked quite shabby, stood up abruptly and started to curse. "Damn, Immortal Taiyuan, you are really a shameless bastard. How dare you set me up after your death? I will dig your ancestral grave." Gasp! All at once, all cultivators in this area gasped as they fixed their eyes on that figure. After a while, their facial expression became complicated. They could tell the figure fell out of the Mystery Land was Dwajude. More coincidentally, Zuke hadn't entered the Mystery Land yet. The two of them met at the entrance directly. Now we can enjoy this excellent show. People of families and sects from the East Continent lit up their eyes and smiled sarcastically. The rest cultivators were shocked and thought Zuke was doomed this time. He was so unlucky to meet Dwajude in such a way. Maybe he could be killed the next moment. However, all onlookers were surprised by what happened next. Seeing the old man who was kicked out of the Mystery Land, Zuke was surprised. "So," he exclaimed, for this old man looked so familiar. The old man also exclaimed after seeing Zuke. Zuke exclaimed again. The old man was even more surprised. A. An old man and a young man started to exclaim at each other in this way on the spot. The onlookers were totally confused and dumbfounded. What's going on? What are they talking about? Why do you always say A? Please speak human language. Holy shit, old beggar, it's you. What brings you here? Just at this time, Zuke figured out the old man in front of him was the old beggar who used to stole his chicken wings in the Fire Nation. The old man also recognized Zuke and said in surprise, "It's me, Chicken Wing Boy, you are also here. Have you taken chicken wings with you?" "Forget the chicken wings. Why wasn't you killed by someone?" Zuke said with a smile. He never expected he could meet this mysterious old man here. "Boo, I am invincible. Nobody could kill me." The old man widened his eyes immediately. Then, he fixed his eyes on Buttface and said excitedly, "You take a dog here. Are you going to roast dog meat? Holy shit, FCKU, I am a wolf." Buttface pissed off immediately. FCK. The old man was also annoyed by Buttface and was about to curse back. Zuke said disdainfully, "Why are you quarreling? I guess both of you don't have any cultural literacy, right? You kept saying dirty words, and your mouths are full of FCK, FCK, FCK. I'm ashamed of you." "Damn, your words even made me blush." "Puff, you are no better than us. How dare you scold me? Have you taken chicken wings with you?" The old man said angrily, "I said you could forget the chicken wings. I am going to settle scores with my enemy. I don't want to waste time here. See you later." "Don't go. You are going to find your enemy, right? I could help you to kill your enemy and you only need to reward me with some roasted chicken wings. Is that okay?" "Really? Are your old bones strong enough to kill someone?" "Nonsense. I will use your family name if I can't kill your enemy." "Okay. Then let's go. I've heard he has entered the Mystery Land." "Let's go." The two of them reached an agreement immediately. Then, they stepped into the Mystery Land together by putting hands on each other's shoulders like old friends who hadn't seen each other for many years. The entire area was in a dead silence. All onlookers were totally confused and dumbfounded. What the hell is going on? I remember they are enemies. These two persons and one dog have formed a combination of weirdos. Chapter 648. Waiting for your reply. All the onlookers were quite confused and couldn't figure out what was happening. Wanjude had evidently mentioned Zuke was his apprentice, but now Zuke claimed Wanjude wasn't qualified to be his apprentice and even wanted to have a one-on-one fight with Wanjude. However, it seemed they were old friends who hadn't seen each other for many years. This was surprising. In short, they were definitely not in a master-apprentice relation. But it seemed they were not enemies either. More importantly, Wanjude said he would help Zuke kill his enemies. But the onlookers could tell that Zuke was here to kill Wanjude. Holy SHT, I guess both of them don't know each other's identity. Someone said in surprise. It certainly looks that way. Someone nodded, his face full of curiosity. A guy from the East Continent spoke with a wry smile. That guy is good at cheating. Now even Wanjude cheated by declaring publicly that he would kill Zuke's enemy, who was actually himself. Anyway, when the two of them enter the Mystery Land, they will learn each other's identity sooner or later. Then, Wanjude will certainly be annoyed and kill Zuke out of rage. Exactly. According to Wanjude's personality, Zuke's death is unavoidable this time. People of all the families and sects from the East Continent sneered, for they thought Zuke was dead meat. People of the Sky and Sense Valley couldn't help but frown. They started to worry about Zuke after realizing the weird relationship between Zuke and Wanjude. After all, Wanjude is never a guy to be trifled with. We've got a big problem now. We should have reminded him earlier. The elder of the Sky and Sense Valley sighed with a shake of his head. Tang Zhuoru and Zhang Suliang also fell silent. After making eye contact, both of them could only smile helplessly. They didn't have time to remind Zuke even if they wanted to. More importantly, they were greatly shocked by Zuke's deeds. Originally, They thought Zhu Kei's cultivation was destroyed because he had offended too many people. Now it turned out that the big families and sects didn't dare touch him even after he'd become an ordinary person. On the contrary, the big families and sects were planning to kill Zhu Kei through Duanjud. Zhu Kei was always ahead of them. I've always thought Lord Zhu could even defeat Duanjud, Zhang Suliang said in a low voice. According to my knowledge, he's always someone who can survive all kinds of hostile environments. Tang Xueru agreed with his words by nodding silently. After all, when they were still in the Five Elements Mountain, they had heard of many things Zhu Kei had done that could almost be described as miraculous. Zhu Kei and Duanjud had stepped into the Mystery Land. Buttface was following them with his head raised aloofly, and he walked majestically like a nobleman. His facial expression was so high and mighty that it seemed he was declaring that the two people in front of him were just guides while he was the ruler of this land. They went a few steps when Duanjud rubbed his hands and said, "Little brat, this mystery land is very large. I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to find your enemy. I suggest we find a place and catch several demonic beasts for a barbecue." He glanced over at Zhu Kei eagerly. Zhu Kei refused by shaking his head. "If I can't find my enemy, I won't be in the mood to eat." "Damn, as a cultivator, how can you be so greedy?" "Shame on you," Buttface denounced Duanjud severely, forgetting he himself was also an eating machine. Duanjud was annoyed immediately. "What a vicious dog! Today I will roast you," he shouted at Buttface angrily. "Come on, let's have a one-on-one fight. I can't bear the sight of you any longer." Buttface howled. "Holy shit, come here, don't think I don't beat dogs." Duanjud smiled out of rage, then he rolled up his sleeves and tried to catch Buttface. Buttface howled immediately and started to run. At the same time, he arrogantly shouted, "Come on, if you're not a coward, come and get me. If you aren't a f***ing coward then stop running." Duanjud was so annoyed that he started to chase Buttface. "If you aren't a f***ing coward, stop chasing me," Buttface shouted. The man and the dog started to chase each other around. Zhu Kei was quite embarrassed. He decided to ignore them and started to look around. He was surrounded by endless plains and hills. Some places were pitted with holes. Apparently, a lot of elixir herbs used to grow here. They had been gathered by someone. He looked up and found the sky was a translucent blue ocean. He was wrapped by intense spiritual chi. He could even smell a wisp of light fragrance which gladdened his heart and refreshed his mind. Buttface told Zhu Kei that the spiritual chi in the Mystery Land was very intense, so it was more suitable for secluded cultivation compared to the outside world. All the big families and sects sent those with great potential into the Mystery Land. On the one hand, this would benefit their cultivation. On the other hand, they could also make their families or sects more famous. As long as they could send their apprentices or family members deep into the Mystery Land, their ranks would be shown on the stone tablet outside the Mystery Land. The deeper their apprentices or family member went, the higher their rank would be. In this way, the big families and sects could compete against each other and check the strength of their new generation of apprentices or family members. It is indeed a good place for secluded cultivation. However, I have to find Duanjud first, Zhu Kei murmured in his heart. After that, Zhu Kei glanced at Buttface and the dowdy old man. "Stop your childish game. Let's hit the road now. I'll find my enemy first, then I will take my time to start my secluded cultivation." "Secluded cultivation? Wait, little brat, I didn't realize until you mentioned that. Where are your cultivation achievements?" Duanjud stopped abruptly in surprise. When he'd met Zhu Kei for the first time, Zhu Kei had reached the golden core stage. However, all his cultivation achievements had gone now. "It's a long story. Let's handle the proper business first. I'll tell you later." Zhu Kei was not in the mood to waste his words, so he waved his hand and stepped forward immediately. As an impatient man, Duanjud curiously asked, "Little brat, if you want to find your enemy by walking like this, I'm afraid you won't find anyone for 3 years. This place is too large. Those who entered here will have arrived at the central area of this lair. Could you help me?" Zhu Kei asked with a smile. He'd asked the old man to join him so that the old man could fly and take him. so that he could keep hiding his Taoist body. When he met Wanjud, he could attack him with his Taoist body in surprise. No way. As a prestigious cultivator, I won't fly with someone else so easily. It's not that I don't want to help you, it's a matter of principle. The old man shook his head resolutely. For this, Zhu Ke stretched out a finger and calmly said, "A pair of grilled chicken wings. Let's go." Wanjud used his magic heart and started to fly toward the central area of the Mystery Land, taking Zhu Ke and Buttface without any hesitation. Several days later, they reached the central area of the Mystery Land's first layer. A group of people were attacking a restrictive spell outside an enormous mountain with their magic arts and artifacts. Guys, hang on. The restrictive spell is no longer as strong as before. A young man at the consummation of the void training stage shouted. Roar! A giant golden tiger of the demonic beast clan attacked the restrictive spell with the sound wave of his roar, which was quite powerful. Break! A gorgeous woman with man head and snake body shouted in a low voice. The attack of her magic art was very magnificent. Apparently, the ones who had participated in breaking the restrictive spell were aces among cultivators at the void training stage. If Zhu Ke were there, he would have recognized that some of these cultivators were holy sons and holy virgins from the East continents besides cultivators of the demonic beast clan and half-human half-demon clan. The one who uttered encouraging words just now was Zhao Taixuan, the holy son of the Eight Directions Green Dragon sect. Liu Jingning, Qin Ji, who was the holy virgin of the Illusionary Flower and Moon sect, and Han Ying, who was the holy virgin of the Heaven Secret Pavilion, were also among these people. They had found this enormous mountain half a month ago. However, the restrictive spell was too powerful. They had kept bombarding the restrictive spell up until now. Finally, it weakened a bit. They also spent such a long time here to preserve their strength. After all, once the restrictive spell broke, they would rush into the mountain and start fighting each other violently. They didn't want to consume too much strength when breaking the restrictive spell. Whoosh! Just at this moment, a sound barrier breaking noise came in. These people were shocked. Then, they started to investigate with their soul's strength. The next moment, all of their facial expressions changed. Wanjud? I remember he reached the third layer. Oh, no. He's coming right at us. Guys, don't preserve strength anymore. Let's break the restrictive spell as soon as possible. Many people started to get anxious for they worried Wanjud would take away the treasury items in the mountain. However, those most shocked were the holy sons and holy virgins from the East continent. They opened their mouths and couldn't believe what they saw. Zhu Ke, how? Could this be possible? I remember someone delivered the news several days ago that he would duel with Wanjud. Why is he now with Wanjud? Damn, all of us were cheated by him. This guy must be the apprentice of Wanjud. Should we retreat now? All at once, the holy sons and holy virgins from the East continent started to hesitate, for they worried Zhu Ke would ask Wanjud to kill them all. At this moment, a faint smile appeared on the lips of Liu Jingning, who was also shocked. When she was in the Five Elements Mountain, Zhang Hongyan told her that Zhu Ke was the apprentice of Wanjud. Now she witnessed that with her eyes, so she breathed a sigh of relief. No wonder this little brat could always turn danger into safety. He is protected by Wanjud. Liu Jingning murmured in a low voice with a faint smile. Whoosh! Wanjud had appeared with Zhu Ke and Buttface. All the holy sons, holy virgins, demonic beasts and half-human half-demons in this area couldn't help but hold their breaths. The named Wanjud was like a nightmare for all of them. None of them wanted or could afford to offend Wanjud. Hey, we finally see living people, and they're a group of gifted young men. Wanjud glanced at the group and smiled, showing his yellow teeth. Zhu Ke also stepped forward majestically. Then, he found Liu Jingning and the other holy sons and holy virgins from the East continent, so he smiled. Guys, glad to see you again, Brother Zhu. I didn't expect you to still be so majestic after several months. Dong Zhenji walked out immediately and spoke with an artificial smile. He had no time to consider his personal animosity. After all, Zhu Ke was now supported by Wanjud, who was someone they couldn't afford to offend. Oh, it's Zhenji. By the way, is your DCK fully recovered? Zhu Ke asked curiously. Dong Zhenji couldn't help the angry twitch of his face. No matter how hypocritical he was, he didn't want to speak with Zhu Ke anymore. This issue had become the biggest stain on his life, which had almost evolved into an inner demon for him. Little brat, is he the enemy you mentioned? Wan Jude asked Zhu Ke after glancing at Dong Zhenji. Zhu Ke waved his hand casually. No, he's too weak, unqualified to be my enemy. Then who the hell is your enemy? You should make an inquiry now. I will tear him apart so we can enjoy the grilled chicken wings. Wan Jude said impatiently. Zhu Ke nodded and stepped forward. Then, he looked at the onlookers and shouted, my fellow cultivators, I am Zhu Ke of the Exploding Heavens faction. If you know where that old beast Wan Jude is, please tell me. I am waiting for your reply online for it is quite urgent. Chapter 649, a name-calling contest between Zhu Ke and Wan Jude. The entire area suddenly fell silent. What? Zhu Ke shouted, dumbfounded every cultivator in this area. What's going on? Is he going to use some trick? Isn't Wan Jude standing beside him? Why did he ask us? Is he going to cause trouble? Wan Jude, who stood beside Zhu Ke, was also completely confused. No matter how wide his imagination was, he couldn't believe this young man, who could roast the most delicious chicken wings he'd ever tasted, was that Zhu Ke whom he had long searched for. More embarrassing, he even promised Zhu Ke that he would kill Zhu Ke's enemy and that he would use Zhu Ke's family name if he couldn't kill that enemy. Who was Zhu Ke's enemy? Damn, it's me, Wan Jude. Now it seems I only have two options. I kill myself, or I change my family name to Zhu. SHT. Come on, I'm really in a hurry. Zhu Ke, who hadn't seen Wan Jude's dumbfounded expression, urged when he didn't get a response from the onlookers. After being stunned for a while, Liu Jingning came to herself at last. At this time, Liu Jingning realized Zhu Ke wasn't acting and that he really didn't know the shabby old man beside him was legendary Wan Jude. Liu Jingning instantly got a bad feeling in her heart. Little brat. She moved her lips slightly to send messages to Zhu Ke in a frightened and helpless way. After all, this was Wan Jude, a famous guy in all the four continents whose name could make anyone tremble with fear. Nobody knew the real strength of Wan Jude. However, the patriarchs of the big families and sects admitted they were no match for Wan Jude. Even creepier, those patriarchs had heard of Wan Jude's scary deeds when they were still young men. Now those young men were patriarchs at the form synthesis stage, and Wan Jude was still alive. Therefore, his strength was immeasurable. However, this invincible cultivator was a weirdo. One time, a guy had accidentally offended Wan Jude. Instead of killing him, Wan Jude said, "It doesn't matter." With a smile, he ruined that guy's ancestral grave the next day. When the guy got the news and arrived at his ancestral grave, he found that it had been turned into a septic tank. After some time, the guy who offended Wan Jude was found dead in that septic tank. There were a lot of incidences like that. Even guys from the big families and sects who offended Wan Jude also had to face the same consequence, which was more miserable than being killed by Wan Jude directly. Therefore, nobody had dared to offend Wan Jude till now. Even the patriarchs had to respectfully address Wan Jude as a senior and give him some precious items as gifts whenever they ran into him. Now, Zhu Ke had called him an old beast to his face. Nobody knew what would happen to Zhu Ke next. Liu Jingning thought that Zhu Ke was really doomed this time. His current situation was even more dangerous than being attacked by the big families and sects, and more dangerous than the heavenly tribulation formed by 1,000,000 celestial soldiers. Liu Jingning hesitated a bit, then, she sent a message to Zhu Ke again in a strange tone. "Little brat, do you know, who the old man beside you is?" Hearing that, Zhu Ke was instantly stunned. He was clever enough to deduce the meaning of her message immediately. Then, he shouted in surprise, "What? Please don't tell me this wise, majestic, confident old man beside me is the legendary senior Duanjud, the man who has shocked the universe and moved the gods?" Liu Jingning smiled in embarrassment and didn't reply to him. She knew Zhu Ke had figured out the answer. The onlookers were surprised by Zhu Ke's words. After analyzing his change in attitude, they realized what had happened. The holy sons and holy virgins from the East continent started to sneer sarcastically and looked at Zhu Ke as if they were waiting for a show. "1 second ago, you called him an old bastard, but now you are addressing him as a wise, majestic, and confident old man." Hey, it's too late." Duanjud looked at Zhu Ke with a smile. Hey, little bastard, you're the notorious Zhu Ke who pretended to be my apprentice. His smile was quite gruesome. Holy SHT. Buttface, who realized what was going on, dashed a few dozen meters away before turning around and staring at Duanjud in terror. Zhu Ke was not at all panicked but calmly said, "This is a misunderstanding and a rumor. I guarantee with my personality and moral integrity that I have never pretended to be your apprentice." "A misunderstanding? A rumor? Hey. It's okay, forget about it, then, since it's a misunderstanding." Duanjud grinned as if he was a generous old man. However, the onlookers felt chills run down their backs after hearing that. They knew of this old man's evil doings. The actual meaning of phrases he spoke like, "It's okay," or, "Forget about it," was, "You're doomed, young man, don't be nervous, it's okay. Come here, tell me how many people there are in your family. Are your parents still living and in good health? Where is your ancestral grave?" Duanjud patted Zhu Ke's shoulder generously and started to talk about ordinary daily life with Zhu Ke. The onlookers felt their blood freeze. Damn, this is exactly the way of that old man. He's too sinister. Finally, this guy has come to the end of his life and nobody could save him. Alas. Liu Jingning sighed helplessly. She didn't expect something like this to occur to Zhu Ke. Even the entire Utopia faction couldn't save Zhu Ke this time. However, Zhu Ke was still calmly staring at Duanjud with a smile. "Old man, you're not being honest. When we got here, you promised that you would kill yourself or you would use my family name. Are you going to eat your words?" Zhu Ke asked with a smile, shaking his head. "Did I?" he asked. "The flood ruined the temple of the Dragon King. This is absolutely a misunderstanding. Forget about these details. Also, I promised to kill your enemy, but I didn't say when would do that. Why are you in such a hurry?" Duanjud laughed harder as he tried to approach Zhu Ke. Splat. However, just at this moment, Zhu Ke stopped smiling and spat at Duanjud abruptly. His saliva landed on his face. All of a sudden, the entire area was in dead silence. All the onlookers were stunned on the spot, completely dumbfounded. How dare he? He dared to spit at Duanjud, and he spat on his face. Is he really so eager to die? "Duanjud, you're an old bastard." Zhu Ke laughed. "Do you really think I'm afraid of you? This is called meeting plot with blot. Eat my saliva, dumb SS." Splat. His saliva landed on Duanjud's face again. Duanjud hadn't expected Zhu Ke to spit at him. After being spat at once, Duanjud, who had still been in a daze, was spat at again. After coming to himself, Duanjud was furious immediately. "FCK, you are a shameless little bastard. How dare you insult me this wicked way?" Duanjud cursed angrily as he tried to grab Zhu Ke. Whoosh! A light dashed out from Zhu Ke's body. The light turned into a figure with snowy hairs who chopped a sword at Duanjud's hand. Clang! "What?" Duanjud asked in surprise. His hand was halted at the sound of the crispy clank. He had failed to grab Zhu Ke. Almost at the same time, Zhu Ke's Taoist body stepped back into his body. It had a divine escape spell in its hand and prepared to escape at any time. "Little brat, what magic art are you using? How could you hide a person in your body?" Duanjud asked as he looked at Zhu Ke in terror. "It's none of your business. Now surrender the elixir, or I will ruin your ancestral grave and sleep with your daughter and granddaughter." Zhu Ke shouted. The threat was extremely overbearing and rampant. He knew he had to use hard tactics to deal with Duanjud until he was finally scared off. "FCK. Wanjud cursed angrily. How could you threaten an old man like that? You're really shameless. Damn, you're not qualified to be threatened by me. Shameless old bastard. You robbed my chicken wings and stole my elixirs. Do you feel any guilt? Zuke shouted forcefully. The onlookers' lips twitched their lips in astonishment at the words of both men. A guy who always ruins others' ancestral graves has the nerve to scold the shamelessness of someone else. A guy who has scammed spirit stones from nearly all the families and sects has the nerve to ask someone who robbed his property whether he can feel guilt. Nobody could be more shameless than the two of them. Zuke and Wanjud could form a combination of wicked weirdos. HMPH, despicable young man, I will die fighting with you today. Prepare to die. Wanjud, who was trembling with rage, continued his curse. Rubbish. Zuke retorted angrily. You are really shameless to say you will die fighting an ordinary person. I just enjoy bullying ordinary people. What could you do to stop me? You are too arrogant. Even though I'm an ordinary person, you still can't hurt me. Hey, what an arrogant man. I've never seen a man as good at bragging as you. I can't help but shake my head. I've never seen a man as shameless as you. If you're not a coward, come here and fight me. Damn, if you're not a coward, come here and I'll smash you with my fist. FCK. If you're not a coward, come here and I'll crush you with my palm. If you're not a coward, come here and I'll stab you to death with one finger. If you're not a coward, come here and I'll wipe you off with one fingernail. If you're not a coward, come here and Haha, have nothing to say, right? Buttface. Attack. Kill this old bastard. I will treat you with the New Orleans grilled drumstick burger and the hot and spicy crayfish. Wait. According to the rule of cultivators, you should tell me whether the New Orleans grilled drumstick burger and the hot and spicy crayfish are delicious before the fight. Chapter 650. You are really handsome. Is it delicious? Wanjud's words almost tumbled everyone in this area. What a weirdo he is. A moment ago, the two of them were about to start a fierce fight. When Zuke mentioned the New Orleans roasted chicken leg burger and the hot and spicy crayfish, Wanjud was distracted immediately. How could he say the rule of cultivators should be clarified? How could he ask if the New Orleans roasted chicken leg burger and the hot and spicy crayfish are delicious? What kind of cultivators rule was this? They are extremely delicious. Zuke sneered and took out a bag of New Orleans drumsticks from the system package. Wanjud's eyes widened immediately. He had tasted the grilled chicken wings made by Zuke and they were unforgettable. He could make chicken wings into delicacies, let alone the drumsticks. Damn, little brat. It turns out you still have a huge inventory. FCK. I've been hungry for a long time. Why didn't you take them out earlier? Buttface's eyes also lit up and he rushed over without even considering the threat of Wanjud. At the same time, Wanjud said, Little brat, I am nothing but honest. Frankly speaking, you are really handsome, attractive, smart and majestic. You're a true role model to the young generation. Everyone was stunned and completely confused. Their faces were question marks. What the hell is this? How could this be? If I remember correctly, just now you said you would punch him to death. Hey, don't waste your words here, Zuke said. This time I won't allow you to steal food from me. Also, according to the rule of cultivators, one should fill his empty stomach before a fight. Now I am going to prepare some food. Don't bother me. He started to prepare his food by taking out a charcoal burner and an iron pan. At the same time, he sneered in his heart that this Wanjud was really a weirdo, immune to both soft and hard tactics but quite vulnerable in front of delicious foods. Whoosh! The Taoist body beside Zuke made a fire and ignited the charcoal burner immediately. The oil in the iron pan was also heated quickly. Zuke took out a New Orleans drumstick and put it in the iron pan directly. Sizzle! The drumstick and the hot oil crashed into each other, and it looked quite artistic. The white smoke and the sweet smell spread out instantly. Wanjud couldn't keep his seat, so he said, Young man, according to the rule of cultivators, one should fill his stomach indeed, which means both parties should eat. You can't eat alone. I like eating alone. It's none of your food. Eating alone is illegal. Bullshit. Stay away. Otherwise, you'll be considered the loser of this fight. It's okay. Life is full of winners and losers. Why are you so shameless? I warn you, if you come any closer, I will smack you to death. As a young man, you are really too rude. You have no sense for respecting the old and loving the young at all. Also, I'm only looking, I'm not even close to you. Not close. How dare you say you're not close? Your face is almost touching the drumstick. Holy SHT. Don't drool on my food. Their noisy argument made the onlookers quite speechless. The two of them are really weirdos. They are weirdo elites. Normal people cannot know what they are thinking. Along with the diffusion of the sweet smell given off from the drumstick grilling in the iron pan, all onlookers were unable to remain calm anymore. All of them were the best among the young generation. Each of them was a holy son or holy virgin. They were high-ranking and had enjoyed all kinds of delicacies. Now they were in the void training stage, so all of them had been practicing in Edia for a long time. However, when this sweet smell entered their nostrils, they couldn't help but swallow with the urge to eat. After giving all his cultivation achievements to his Taoist body, Zhu Ke was still a 4-star chef, who was quite good at cooking. Now he could even enchant an ordinary drumstick, which were much more enchanting than the grilled chicken wings he used to make. Wanjud couldn't stand it anymore. He couldn't even stand upright. He squatted down on the ground with Buttface. Both of them stretched out their heads close to the iron pan and enjoyed the sweet smell closely. They were intoxicated. I can't stand it anymore. This guy's cooking is extraordinary. Buttface howled, raking earth with his paws laboriously. Wanjud nodded to show his approval. Of course, I've enjoyed numerous delicacies, but I've never smelled such amazing food. Do you know what the most important factor is though? What is it? Buttface asked curiously. The man cooking is so attractive. He is indeed a flawless young man favored by God. Wanjud started to lick Zhu Ke's shoes without any hesitation. Exactly. When I met this young man for the first time, I knew he was a gifted person. Buttface also flattered Zhu Ke by imitating Wanjud. Wanjud's expression changed immediately. What, really? I also got this feeling when I saw him for the first time. I didn't expect you to be so insightful. Please forgive my disrespect. It doesn't matter. You're also extraordinary. Among all the cultivators in this world, I'll only raise my hat to you. My brother Buttface, today we should drink together. When this drumstick is done, let's eat and chat. Sure, my brother Jude. Today, we'll enjoy ourselves and get plastered. The old man and the dog started to flatter each other like this. It seemed both of them regretted not knowing each other earlier and had forgotten the unpleasantness just now. They even started to call each other brothers. The onlookers were so embarrassed that they almost wanted to spit blood. They had never seen a shameless man and a brazen dog like them. That's why he is Wanjud. Buttface could be his competitor. Together with Zhu Ke, who is so good at scamming, this combination of 2 men and 1 dog could be invincible. Damn, the world of cultivators will face an imminent disaster. Someone said anxiously. Zhu Ke, Wanjud, and a dog. We can address them as the combination K, Da, and dog. They are the 3 scums of the world of cultivators. No, they are the 3 scourges. Sizzle. At this moment, along with a crisp frying sound, Zhu Ke flipped over the drumstick. The sweet smell became more intense instantly, which lightened the hearts and refreshed the minds of everyone in the area. Many people couldn't help but swallow. Their cultivations were even getting agitated because of the sweet smell. What the hell is that meat? Why is it so delectable? I feel my true core strength circulating rapidly just smelling it. I bet I could have a breakthrough in my cultivation by eating that meat. Wait, I also have this feeling. The onlookers started to mutter their surprise. Compared to the shamelessness of Wanjud and Buttface, Zhu Ke's cooking skill was more amazing for the onlookers. I remember this guy cooked a food called smelly tofu during the stone cutting convention. That smelly tofu could really enhance users' soul strength. Could this drumstick also strengthen cultivation? It's horrible. How could such a miraculous item exist in this world, right? It's normal to realize those effects with pills and elixirs, but how could he realize those effects with some foods? The more they muttered, The more fearful they became, they got a vague feeling that Zhu Kei's cooking skill would surpass all ancient skills and amaze his contemporaries. Even though he destroyed his cultivation and had become an ordinary person, the big families and sects would still make up to him because of his extraordinary cooking skill, which could even be more powerful than the magic arts of the 9-star pill refiners. Oh, it is almost done. Zhu Kei, who was focusing on grilling the drumstick, smiled. He took out bread and cut it open down the middle before heating it in the iron pan. Then, he inserted the drumstick into the bread together with a lettuce leaf, cheese, and salad. Along with the addition of various ingredients, a New Orleans grilled drumstick burger with a perfect color, smell and taste combination appeared in his hand. Plumes of white smoke made the entire burger so picturesque, which was more attractive than any of the propaganda posters on Earth. Little brat, I would like to be the first one to nibble it. Buttface's eyes lit up and he was about to grab the burger with his paw. Wait, this rough work should be left to me. Wanjud also rapidly tried to seize the burger. However, no matter how fast they were, Zhu Kei managed to put the burger back into the system package thanks to his early preparation. Young man, you can't do that. You should respect the old and love the young. Wanjud said impatiently. The thing he couldn't stand the most was not eating something in front of him. Zhu Kei calmly said, you can have it as long as you turn in the 2 Genesis herbs. Chapter 651, The Hair-Raising Combination of Zhu Kei and Wanjud. Is this real? Wanjud's eyes lit up. Whoosh. Without hesitating, he took 2 jade boxes out of the storage ring in his hand. When he opened the jade boxes, everyone could smell the faint medicinal fragrance coming out along with intense spiritual chi. All the onlookers were shocked. Those the Genesis earth herb and the Genesis wood herb of the 5 Genesis herbs? Impressive. These herbs are quite rare. Their growth requires a dragon vein. Apparently the growth of one herb like this needs 1 million years. It's full of spiritual chi. For example, this Genesis earth herb could help a cultivator achieve remarkable enhancement of their cultivation with the earth spiritual root. Is that food really tempting enough to make Wanjud hand in 2 precious elixirs? Many people were shocked. They started to eye the elixirs greedily. The 2 Genesis herbs were especially attractive for some demonic beasts and demons. If they were not afraid of Wanjud, they would have rushed up to fight for the elixirs. Zhu Kei's heartbeat also quickened. Bring it here. With these 2 elixirs, he would scrape together every one of the 5 Genesis herbs. He would be able to revive Zhao after obtaining the living holy water. He had been working hard to achieve this for a long time. The time he had spent with Zhao was very short, but Zhao was nearly the only person he revered, nearly the only one who represented the goodness in his heart. Reviving Zhao was a promise he had made for her and himself, and it was also a commemoration of all the villagers of the Panshan village. Now that his goal was about to be accomplished, how could he keep calm? Here you are, young man. Wanjud exclaimed. Actually, I plan to find these 2 elixirs and give them to you personally. It is my great honor. He spoke as if he was telling the truth as he handed the 2 jade boxes to Zhu Kei. The next moment, he grabbed the New Orleans grilled drumstick burger with his dirty hands and threw it into his mouth. No! Buttface screamed hysterically. That's my burger. Wanjud forgot his friendship with Buttface and gobbled up the burger in one gulp, his body filled with the novel flavor and fresh taste. Boom. The next moment, Wanjud felt a vibration in his body. His eyes widened and, surprised, he shouted, How? Could this be possible? He was totally shocked. He had just realized a breakthrough in his cultivation. The bottleneck which had obstructed him for so many years had been instantly shattered by the delicious burger. How could such miraculous food exist in this world? Young man, thank you. Thank you so much. I am so moved. Wanjud, unbearably excited, suddenly expressed rare, heartfelt gratitude to Zhu Kei. An instant-level breakthrough was a cherished accomplishment for cultivators at his stage. They would risk nearly anything to achieve one. He never expected to realize one so easily. How could he keep calm? Don't mention it, and you are welcome. It was just a lift of my finger. Zuke was quite happy after obtaining the 2 elixirs. He waved his hand with a smile and didn't want to waste any more time on Wanjude. Wanjude suddenly lowered his head in shame. Alas, what a shame, young man. Give me your hand. Zuke was surprised. What? Just now when I handed the jade boxes to you, I used a magic art which could corrode your meridian gradually. I'll remove it for you immediately. Light gushed out from Wanjude's finger and went into Zuke's wrist, removing the sinister magic art. Zuke sighed heavily. Old beggar, give me your hand. Now it was Wanjude's turn to be surprised. What happened? Zuke shook his head in shame. Alas, just now I added 981 different poisons and over 1,000 different aphrodisiacs, including Riga 001, PGD 820. TAC 001 and CEST 159, into the burger you ate just now. This is the antidote. After receiving the pill, Wanjude was moved again. He spoke with tears in his eyes. Young man, just stand there and don't move. What happened? Just now I set up over 100 killing spells around you when you are not paying attention. Now I will deactivate them for you immediately. After saying that, Wanjude bent over and took a buried spirit stone out from the sandy ground to deactivate the killing spells. Zuke was stunned immediately. Then, he rubbed his sore nose and said, Old beggar, I am sorry. Please don't eat that antidote pill. It is DDVP. I will give you the real antidote now. After receiving the new antidote, Wanjude burst into tears. Then, he took out 2 brand new jade boxes from his pocket and handed them to Zuke. Young man, these are the real Genesis Earth Herb and Genesis Wood Herb. What I gave you just now were fake. Zuke was so moved that he even started crying. After receiving the jade boxes and confirming the authenticity of the elixirs, Zuke lifted his eyes and sighed. Alas, Li Xiao. Lower your sword. We can't assassinate such a good old man. Clang. His Taoist body, who appeared behind Wanjude, dropped his sword and nodded his head. Then, he turned around and left. Wanjude cried harder immediately. He grabbed Zuke's hand directly and said excitedly, Young man, I was wrong. I don't deserve to live. When I gave you the real elixirs just now, I applied poison outside the jade box. Now I will detoxify you. After saying that, he took out a bottle of crystal ointment and applied it on Zuke's hand. Zuke shed floods of tears and spoke in a trembling voice. Old beggar, don't say that. I am the one who deserves to die. Actually, what I cooked just now was not a drumstick but a dead mouse from a stinking ditch. I will cook some real drumstick burgers for you now. Okay, that will be fine. Wanjude nodded and was again quite moved. However, the next moment, he realized how badly he had fooled. With wide eyes he shouted, FCK, dead mouse from a stinking ditch? SHT. I gobbled it up. Alas, I was wrong. But don't worry, now open your mouth. Zuke sighed. It's in my stomach. What could you do now? Don't worry, now open your mouth. Let me put a cobra into your stomach, so it can take out the dead mouse. FCK, young man, you're in a trouble now. I will never forgive you and die fighting you today. Damn. Come on, let's have a duel. You can't scare me. The two of them started to quarrel again and it seemed they were going to start a violent fight. All the onlookers had been turned to stone. It seemed the gray matter in their brains were not enough to follow Zuke and Wanjude's behavior. Their behavior was hair-raising, fearsome, and horrible. They kept setting each other up using poisons, killing spells, fake antidote pills and assassination attempts. The onlookers were totally convinced by their impressive methods. Are they human? A holy son asked in terror. As onlookers, the cultivators were fearful just watching their performance. The world of cultivators is doomed. Someone exclaimed. Nobody can be more skillful at ensnaring others than Zuke and Wanjude. Chapter 652, Precious Treasure in the Mountain. Now Wanjude could hardly stand it anymore. As a long-standing cheater, he never expected that today he would find his match. That young man was as good as cheating others as he was. Both of them kept scheming against each other. At last, it turned out Zuke's tricks were slightly better than his. Wanjude didn't want to admit defeat, so he started to utter dirty words. However, Zukei's reply was even dirtier than his, which made him so angry that he was almost about to spit blood. The onlookers were numb to their argument. They started to worry about the future of the world of cultivators. The holy sons and holy virgins from the East Continent were perturbed. Now they realized how horrible Zukei was. They had been offending Zukei for a long time. If they couldn't kill him, they would suffer in the future. All of them could tell Wanjud and Zukei didn't want to fight, although they were in a fierce verbal battle. The reason went without saying. Wanjud was a mean machine. He would never put up with being abused by others like this. However, he just didn't want to fight Zukei. The possible reason could be the good relationship between him and Zukei, or maybe he planned to gain more things from Zukei like the burger, which could enhance his cultivation. Therefore, as long as Wanjud was with Zukei, no one dared attack Zukei. Even after all of them knew Zukei was now an ordinary person. We're gonna have some trouble later on. Dong Genji was quite depressed. He was smart enough to figure out the situation. As long as Zukei was under the protection of Wanjud, no one in this world would dare attack him. Of course, they could try to assassinate Zukei when Wanjud was not with him. This little guy is really extraordinary. Liu Jingning murmured to herself in a low voice. She shook her head with a wry smile. She thought Zukei was done this time and didn't expect him to outsmart Wanjud. His most important tool was that burger. Han Ying, the Holy Virgin of the Heaven Secret Pavilion, was also shocked. Her eyes gleamed. She told Zukei the Heaven Secret Pavilion could help him get the Taoist connotation. Her so-called method was to have Zukei destroy his cultivation and restart from zero. The success rate of her method was also about zero. Zukei didn't follow her advice and just left directly. She could do nothing but give up her plan. However, she didn't expect Zukei to really destroy his cultivation and recklessly step into this mystery land as an ordinary person. Little brat, can you forget this issue for my sake? At this moment, Buttface tried to stop Zukei and Wanjud from cursing each other. He knew the purpose for their entering the mystery land was not to curse someone, but to hunt treasuries. Don't stop me. I really need to curse this old beggar. Zukei snorted, staring at Wanjud. We still have business to deal with. Buttface reminded him in a low voice. Zukei nodded and spoke while looking at Wanjud. This time I'll let you go. I'll beat you up next time I see you. Hearing his words, Wanjud laughed with the onlookers. An ordinary person threatened to beat Wanjud up. He was crazy. Young man, if you beat me up once, I'll beat you up 10 times. Wanjud said with a smile. If you beat me up 10 times, I'll beat you up 100 times. Zukei replied with a cold smile. He was currently not strong enough to defeat Wanjud. When he regained his cultivation achievements, or even when he reached the void training stage, he would merge with his Taoist body. After reaching the form synthesis stage, he might be strong enough to defeat Wanjud. Okay, let's go. Buttface urged impatiently and started to walk toward the central area of the mystery land, dragging Zukei along with him. Zukei realized something was wrong with Buttface. He was being too active and seemed very eager to find that abode. Don't go. Wait for me. Wanjud said mischievously and started following them. Get lost. Buttface and Zukei shouted at the same time. Zukei didn't want to look at Wanjud anymore, and Buttface worried Wanjud would steal the precious treasuries in the abode. Hey, I won't get lost. What can you do? Wanjud said with a mean, disrespectful smile. What a rascal. Zukei raised his eyebrows and was about to say something when they heard a noise. Rumble. A big bang came from the enormous mountain beside them. Everyone was shocked. When they turned around, they found the big bang was from the enormous mountain full of restrictive spells. Before Zukei's arrival, the holy sons and holy virgins of the big families and sects had been bombarding the restrictive spells of this mountain for a long time. They had planned to break the restrictive spells and enter the mountain to find precious treasuries. When Wanjud and Zukei appeared, all of them had stopped. Now the enormous mountain started to vibrate suddenly, which caused a thunderous noise as if an intense explosion had just happened. After that, The restrictive spells outside the mountain became more dazzling as if they were covered by golden light. What, is the thing inside going to blossom and yield fruit? Wanjude, stunned, asked in surprise. The crowd was confused. What could make such a big noise by blossoming and yielding fruits? Could it be a celestial elixir? At the thought of this, many people couldn't keep calm anymore. They knew this mystery land had been created in the ancient times, which was quite mysterious. In the past over 1,000 years, many people used to find celestial elixirs in this mystery land, which proved that it was most likely the abode, or even the small world, of a celestial. Dong Genji's eyebrows furrowed. Oh, no. The noises out here were too loud and activated all the restrictive spells in this area. I'm afraid we can't break all of them. If they had attacked with their full strength before, they could have quickly broken the restrictive spells. However, all of them had chosen to preserve their strength. Therefore, after over half a month, they had still faced the restrictive spells. Now the entire restrictive spell system had been activated, which was as dazzling as a golden cover. Now even if all of them used their full strength, they would still need another half a month to break the restrictive spells. Hey, it's just a shabby restrictive spell system. I could break it in one day. Wanjude smiled his yellow teeth, which were quite disgusting. The holy sons and holy virgins were stunned and oppressed to hear this. If Wanjude made up his mind to get the treasure in the mountain, it would be impossible for them to take a share. Young guys, don't be so nervous. I know the treasury inside is quite extraordinary. However, I am a noble person. Do you think I will grab it from the young generation? Wanjude asked with a contemptuous expression as if it were disdainful to do something like that. The silent crowd smiled wryly. The answer in their hearts was, of course you would. Okay, I promise I will only come inside and have a look. I won't take anything. Wanjude turned to Zhu Kai. Young man, now I don't want to follow you anymore. You can't leave and play by yourself. After saying that, he started to walk toward the enormous mountain. The holy sons and holy virgins were driven in despair, for they knew they had lost everything this time. Liu Jingning's expression shifted slightly. She planned to say something but ultimately didn't utter a word. Zhu Kai shouted, "Old beggar, you're really shameless. How could you rob a group of young men in broad daylight?" Wanjude raised his eyebrows at him. They can't break the restrictive spells anyway. I can break them. How is that robbery? Also, if I really want to rob you, what can you do to stop me? Young man, bide your time, I'll punish you sooner or later. Zhu Kai smiled disdainfully. Hey, you're bragging shamelessly. If I wasn't afraid of being accused of bullying an old man, I would have smashed you into a piece of crap already. Wanjude might be a horrible opponent for others, but not for Zhu Kai. Hey, if I wasn't afraid of being accused of bullying a small kid, I would have trampled you to death. Zhu Kai looked up and shouted, "You've already bullied too many small kids. Stop wasting your words. Come here and let's have a one-on-one. I will fight against you with only one hand." "Ha. I will not have a one-on-one with you. What can you do? What can you do?" Wanjude smiled meanly as he gracefully walked toward the enormous mountain. Zhu Kai was speechless. Wanjude was way too shameless. As a loose cannon, he was even immune to a provocative approach. The onlookers also shook their heads. If Zhu Kai could do nothing to stop that old man, what could they do? Buttface approached Zhu Kai. "Little brat, we should take this opportunity to leave. The precious item in this mountain is extraordinary, but I bet things in the third layer are better." Zhu Kai smiled and, in a low voice, said, "It's not necessary for us to rush to the third layer now. I remember you told me these restrictive spells are useless for ordinary people, right? Right. But if you get involved, we'll never shake that old beast off." Buttface said anxiously. "Hey, don't worry. There should be more than one entrance to this mountain. Let's pretend to leave first. Then we can enter the mountain from somewhere else. We will leave immediately after grabbing the precious items in the mountain so that the old beggar will die of anger," Zhu Kai said with a mean smile as he stepped back. Buttface was stunned a bit. Then, he was impressed by Zhu Kai's plan, so he started following him excitedly. Not far away from them, Liu Jingning happened to see their facial expressions. Her eyes lit up as if she had figured something out. Then, she jumped up and started to follow Zhu Ke and Buttface. Little Quack, wait for me. Your sister will go with you, Liu Jingning said with a smile, appearing in front of Zhu Ke airily. She blinked her beautiful, coquettish eyes. Her smile was very charming and full of temptation. When Zhu Ke still had his cultivation, he could still resist her temptation. Now, as an ordinary person, he could never resist Liu Jingning's deliberate flirting. "SHT, don't come closer," Zhu Ke shouted immediately as if confronted with a formidable enemy. This she-devil was too good at flirting. "Little Quack, what's wrong with you? Are you sick? Should I check your body?" Liu Jingning sniggered charmingly. She was about to touch Zhu Ke's face with her jade-like hand. Zhu Ke stepped back hurriedly and said, "No, no, no, don't come any closer, otherwise, I will be starving." Liu Jingning was stunned. "What do you mean starving?" She decided to stop teasing Zhu Ke, and shook her head with a smile. "Okay, that's enough. Let's talk business. There are 2 precious treasuries in this mountain. One of them is very important to me. Do you have any idea of how to enter this mountain?" "No, absolutely not," Zhu Ke and Buttface said resolutely. Chapter 653, The Awful Flirtation. "No." Liu Jingning's face filled with a charming and attractive smile. She knew Zhu Ke and Buttface's personalities very well. Their resolute denial meant they must have found a way into the mountain. She also saw the 2 of them whispering together before breaking into sinister smiles. Therefore, she guessed Zhu Ke might have discovered a way to enter, so she went over to see what was going on. "Little Quack, you're not being honest. Are you going to cheat your sister?" Liu Jingning started to speak in a coquettish and attractive voice. This, combined with her extremely beautiful appearance, made all the men in the world crazy about her. Zhu Ke almost jumped in surprise. "Sister, wake up. Don't do that. Please restrain yourself." This she-devil was very good at flirting. Buttface patted Zhu Ke's shoulder. "Little brat, you also need to wake up," he shouted. "Don't be seduced by her." "Ah, this she-devil is poisonous," Zhu Ke shouted as he tried to keep a distance from Liu Jingning by quickening his steps. It was not because his self-restraint was not enough, it was that Liu Jingning's glamour was awful. Nobody could resist her except those who were not interested in women. "Little Quack, don't walk so quickly, please wait for me." Liu Jingning's attractive and coquettish voice reached his ears again. Zhu Ke felt his blood freeze, so he started to run. "Little brat, ask your Taoist body to fly us there," Buttface shouted. His words reminded Zhu Ke, who had wanted to summon it anyways. Whoosh! Just at this moment, Liu Jingning's fragrant figure landed directly in front of Zhu Ke. "A Taoist body?" Liu Jingning looked at Zhu Ke skeptically. "Little brat, is the one who flew out just now your Taoist body?" "Don't trust Buttface's nonsense. That is my cousin Li Zioyao, who came here to see me from Yuhang County," Zhu Ke replied seriously. As a smart woman, Liu Jingning could tell Zhu Ke was talking nonsense. However, she was quite shocked. The formation of a Taoist body was only mentioned in some of the ancient books, and almost nobody trusted they could be formed at all, for cultivators could never make one out of their real body. Only Celestials could realize that. But Zhu Ke might have a Taoist body now. Moreover, the aura of that white-haired man was quite familiar and similar to the aura of Zhu Ke. "Little Quack, you're so naughty. I didn't expect you to tell so many lies to me in half a year." Liu Jingning looked at Zhu Ke as she blinked her beautiful eyes like a newlywed who had been wronged. "Ah, that's enough. Stop. Be serious. I do have a Taoist body and also have a method to enter that mountain," Zhu Ke said through clenched teeth. He couldn't stand the flirtation of that she-devil anymore. If an ordinary woman flirted like that, Zhu Ke would have immediately walked away. However, Liu Jingning was different. She was born with a coquettish temperament, and after many years of cultivation, she had become more and more attractive. As a holy virgin, she flirted coquettishly in front of him, which was as destructive as an atomic bomb. The reason that Liu Jingning dared to act like this was Zhu Ke had become an ordinary person. If Liu Jingning had dared to do this when Zhu Ke still had his cultivation achievements, he would have seduced her. You really have a Taoist body? Liu Jingning was shocked by his words, for she didn't expect Zhu Ke could form a Taoist body as an ordinary person. Now she realized that he had transferred all his cultivation achievements to his Taoist body, which was not the self-destruction of his cultivation. He was so sinister, no wonder nobody could hurt him. You are so mean, you've fooled everyone, Liu Jingning said as she looked at Zhu Ke. Zhu Ke rolled his eyes. That's enough. Let's get moving. The most urgent thing now was to arrive at the rear part of that mountain. It would be too late if the old Bast Road Wanjud broke the restrictive spells. Little Quack, are you angry at me? Suddenly, Liu Jingning leaned on Zhu Ke. Her long legs, which were slim and white, pressed onto him. She even raised one leg slightly to rub Zhu Ke's thigh, blinking her watery beautiful eyes at him. I was wrong. Just don't be angry at me, please. Holy SHT. Zhu Ke felt his instinctive drives start to grow out of his control like an erupting volcano. If he still tried to hold back his desire, he wouldn't be deemed a man. You're done, Zhu Ke said seriously as he was about to order his Taoist body to capture Liu Jingning and take her in the grassland beside him. Liu Jingning smiled shrewdly. She drifted away before Zhu Ke had time to capture her. Then, she sniggered, Little Quack, I'm just kidding. Don't be so serious. Let's enter the mountain now. I really need something in that mountain. You teased me just because you want me to help you, right? Zhu Ke asked sullenly. No, Liu Jingning replied with a smile. She was quite calm. It was true. She knew that Zhu Ke would definitely help her if she asked. Okay, that's enough. Lead the way. Let's go to the rear part of the mountain. Don't get spotted by the others. Zhu Ke nodded, not wanting to waste more time with Liu Jingning. His original plan was to rob something from the mountain to infuriate Wanjud. Since Liu Jingning needed help now, he would definitely help her. After all, she was beautiful and elegant. No, she had helped him before. She had worried about his safety after the self-destruction of his cultivation, so she sent someone to protect him. He would never forget her kindness. Okay, let's go. Liu Jingning nodded. This time she didn't tease Zhu Ke but waved her hand. Then, her magnificent true core strength turned into a cloud of black fog under her feet, which carried her into the sky. Zhu Ke and Buttface also stepped on the black fog. Then, the three of them flew up and dashed toward the mountain. On the way, Zhu Ke told Liu Jingning the method to enter the mountain earlier mentioned by Buttface. As an ordinary person, he was the only one who could enter. His words shocked Liu Jingning, for she didn't know the restrictive spells could be bypassed this way. The thing I need is a humanoid fruit, which is a major ingredient to refine the form synthesis pill. This pill could help me break the bottleneck and reach the form synthesis stage in a short time. Liu Jingning named the thing she most needed, the only purpose for her entering the Mystery Land. Zhu Ke was surprised by Liu Jingning's ambition and foresight. When the other holy sons and holy virgins had been striving to be number one, she had looked to some place further. She planned to refine the form synthesis pill with the humanoid fruit, which could accelerate her breakthrough to reach the form synthesis stage. This way, she would be as prestigious as the patriarchs of the big families and sects. However, Zhu Ke was still confused by something. Shaking his head, he asked, how could you know there are humanoid fruits in this mountain before going in? A patriarch of our faction left us a torn map for some places in the first floor of the Taiyuan Mystery Land. This mountain was also marked on the map, and it said there was an elixir plantation here that has the humanoid fruits. So, what made those large noises just now? The old beggar mentioned something about blossoming and fruit bearing. Could celestial elixirs be planted in this mountain? Liu Jingning shook her head. I don't know about this. After absorbing enough spiritual chi for many years, elixirs could be turned into celestial elixirs. Okay, I will check it out after entering this mountain, and I'll find the humanoid fruit for you first. Zhu Ke nodded his head and stopped asking more questions. Since he had promised to help, he would help her without too much hassle. Soon, They circled around the mountain and arrived at its rear part after 2 hours. Then, they landed on the ground. "Remember, little brat," Buttface said seriously, "when you find precious items, you should come back immediately. Don't start your cultivation in there. Otherwise, once you have gained cultivation achievements, you won't be able to come out even when you are just a cultivator at the chi refining stage." "I know, I won't be as stupid as you." Zuke waved his hand and started to walk toward the mountain. He ignored the dazzling golden restrictive spell and passed through it successfully. Then, he started to go up the path along the mountain. When he passed through the restrictive spell, the spiritual chi around him became intense immediately. The scenery also changed drastically compared to what he had seen from the outside. The mountain had disappeared. A boundless elixir plantation was now in front of him. Zuke's eyes widened. He couldn't believe what he saw. This elixir plantation was too big. He could see all kinds of elixirs. The air was filled with the refreshing elixir fragrance. The flowers, leaves and branches of the elixirs glittered in the sunshine like jewels. Even more staggering, he saw a small stone house at the center of the elixir plantation. A shack was set up outside the stone house, and a lot of wooden shelves lined the shack. It seemed the shack was used to dry the elixirs. "Why is this place so creepy?" Zuke murmured as he hesitantly walked toward the stone house. However, when he approached the stone house, he found something was wrong. A lot of elixirs were placed on the wooden shelves in the shack outside the stone house, and some of them were quite fresh as if they had just been picked. "Holy she, don't tell me someone is living in this stone house," he said in surprise. The restrictive spells around this area had never been broken before. Those who could enter this area could be ordinary people, or celestials. Out of curiosity, Zuke continued moving forward. He stepped forward carefully to avoid trampling the elixirs. Meanwhile, he tried to find the humanoid fruit Liu Jingning needed as he observed the stone house. Also, he became more and more nervous. This mountain used to vibrate and created big bangs before. Apparently, this should be the source of the vibration and noise. However, he could find nothing blossoming or bearing fruit except for the boundless elixir fields. Just at this moment, he saw a wisp of smoke coming out from the chimney of the stone house. Zuke stopped and was stunned on the spot. Someone is really living here. Chapter 654, An Amazing Taoist Nun. What the hell? Has someone already entered? Zuke was greatly surprised. He knew that this mystery land opened every 100 years. Each time it only stayed open for 3 years. After 3 years, the mystery land would disappear with everyone inside it. However, someone was apparently in that stone house. Whoosh! Zuke summoned his Taoist body without any hesitation. He guessed the one in the stone house had managed to enter by bypassing the restrictive spells with certain methods. If not, this place might be haunted. Squeak! As Zuke was considering how to get close the stone house, someone suddenly opened the wooden door. The next moment, a woman in a Taoist robe stepped out and walked toward the wood shelf to dry the elixirs as if she didn't sense the existence of Zuke. Zuke gasped and was instantly freaked out. This woman was too beautiful to be real. Even her baggy Taoist robe couldn't cover her perfect hourglass figure. Even more shockingly, her face was extremely pretty, like an illusionary image. Her skin was creamy as if she were from another world. She reached out her jade-like hand and picked up a medicinal herb. Then, she frowned as if unsatisfied with it. When she leaned over to pick up other medicinal herbs, her baggy Taoist robe fell away from her shoulder and exposed her white skin. Faintly, Zuke could see part of her towering bosom and the deep cleavage. They were suffocatingly attractive. Holy SHT, who was this woman? Zuke was shocked, for he had never even heard of such an amazing woman. Only Zhang Hongyan could rival her temperament. However, Zhang Hongyan was a woman who was peaceful on the surface but quite stern in her heart. This woman was as attractive as Liu Jingning on the surface and as stern as Zhang Hongyan in her heart. Zuke couldn't help but be absent-minded for a while. If Zhang Hongyan was a woman that only a celestial could compare to, this woman in Taoist robes was even greater than celestials. This is horrible, Zuke thought. Women in this world are remarkable. as expected. Many of them are so tempting and seductive for men. Luckily, I have a strong concentration. Others might jerk off on the spot and then lose interest in everything. He felt proud of himself. It seemed the woman in Taoist robes had collected all the elixirs she needed. She turned around and walked toward the stone house without even a glance at Zhu Ke, as if she didn't know Zhu Ke was there. Zhu Ke was shocked immediately. He was standing in a quite conspicuous position surrounded by elixirs. How could she miss a person who was standing very close to the stone house? Could she be blind? Zhu Ke wondered, and then he shook his head. This didn't make sense. Even if he hadn't started his cultivation, he could still sense that the woman in Taoist robes was not an ordinary person but someone with extraordinarily strong cultivation. Therefore, even without using her eyes, she should have sensed his existence with her soul's strength and the five senses when she was in the stone house. Creepy. This is so creepy. Zhu Ke was quite suspicious and he decided to take a closer look at the stone house. He ordered the Taoist body to walk in front of him. Meanwhile, he took out a divine escape spell in his hand. If something went wrong, he would escape immediately. After being in the world of cultivators for so long, he knew he should never let his guard down no matter how beautiful the woman was. However, when Zhu Ke approached the stone house, he found the wooden door, which was covered by dust, was closed tightly as if it hadn't been opened for many years. Wait, what the hell? Zhu Ke was stunned. He remembered the woman in Taoist robes hadn't closed the door when she'd entered the stone house. Moreover, the dust on the door was intact, which meant the door really hadn't been opened for many years. SHT, did I see a ghost just now? Zhu Ke's lips twitched slightly. He looked around suspiciously. After confirming no danger was around, he asked the Taoist body to step toward the door. Squeak. Without any obstruction, the Taoist body opened the wooden door easily. However, the next moment, a cloud of murky air gushed out from the stone house. Zhu Ke was dumbfounded. The stone house was a mess. All the furniture, which included a table and chairs, lied shattered on the ground. It seemed a fierce fight had happened in this house. An ancient pill refining furnace was inside, which was also covered by dust like its surroundings. This was absolutely a stone house which had been abandoned for many years. It hardly seemed someone was living in it. Also, Zhu Ke could see clearly that the stone house was empty. That woman in Taoist robes had just vanished. My gosh, I really saw a ghost in broad daylight, Zhu Ke said in surprise, but he felt an inexplicable sense of loss in his heart. A glimpse of the woman in Taoist robes had created an indelible memory in his heart. Her sexy curves, extremely beautiful face, the white skin exposed after her Taoist robe fell from her shoulder when she leaned down to pick up elixirs. In front of this empty and shabby stone house, Zhu Ke came to and realized what had just happened could not have been real. According to Chang Tzu's dream theory, all was vanity. That's why it seems so creepy. I guess I was set up by some kind of illusory art. Zhu Ke felt suspicious and became more vigilant. However, nothing happened. The stone house and the limitless elixir fields were still very quiet. Zhu Ke smiled regretfully. Forget it. Let me find the humanoid fruit first. It's just a pity that amazing woman was an illusion. I really need to flirt with such a beautiful woman, one who surpasses celestials. But he didn't have a lot of regret in his heart. Anyway, flirting with a girl was not something which could be forced. After all, if the girl didn't exist, how could the flirtation exist? However, when Zhu Ke finished his exclamation and was about to leave, a magnificent pressure swept out abruptly. The next moment, an angry but attractive voice came in. How dare you? Boom! A violent gust of wind gushed out of the stone house and blew toward Zhu Ke with a cloud of murky dust. Holy shit! Zhu Ke was shocked. He immediately ordered the Taoist body to take him back hurriedly. Meanwhile, the Taoist body used its hand to create a heavenly thunder seal, which was then placed in front of the Maza shield. Bang! The violent wind bumped into the heavenly thunder seal and caused a big bang. The entire heavenly thunder seal shattered. How could this be? Zhu Ke was so shocked that his eyes almost popped out. This was crazy. A violent gust of wind smashed his most powerful heavenly thunder seal. Although the wind disappeared when the heavenly thunder seal was smashed, The result was still unacceptable for Zhu Ke. This guy must be an extremely powerful cultivator. Zhu Ke realized he'd kicked an iron plate. This woman might even be more powerful than a cultivator at the form synthesis stage. Senior, I mean no harm. I entered this place by mistake. I just want to ask for some humanoid fruit. Zhu Ke explained hurriedly. He guessed that attractive voice had come from the woman in Taoist robes. Maybe his disrespectful words had annoyed her, so she'd attacked Zhu Ke suddenly. Get out! The voice screamed from the stone house again. This time Zhu Ke couldn't feel anger in her words. He could feel only chilliness. Zhu Ke raised his eyebrows, for he was a little bit unhappy. However, he realized he made a mistake first, so he had to concede. Okay, I'll get out as soon as I find some humanoid fruit, he said, nodding his head. This is not a place you should remain, the voice said, full of murderous intent, and you can't take away anything from this place. Get out immediately, otherwise, you will stay here with your Taoist body and become fertilizer for the soil in the elixir field. The voice sounded quite formidable. SHT. Zhu Ke was totally terrified. This woman in Taoist robes had awesome power if she knew he had a Taoist body, but she was too unpleasant. She'd refused to give him a humanoid fruit and had even threatened him. This was outrageous. Fine, you're threatening me? You'll see. Zhu Ke's face shifted as he started to smile. Then, he folded his hands. If you say so, I'll take leave now, senior. After saying that, the Taoist body flew into the sky above the elixir field. The next moment, the Taoist body waved its hand. A magnificent suction force gushed out and uprooted elixir in more than half of the elixir field. Boom! Countless precious antique elixirs were sucked into Zhu Ke's system package. Among them, Zhu Ke found the humanoid fruit, which he also bluntly took into the system. After that, Zhu Ke laughed loudly and started to utter ruthless words. Screw you, F-King Senior, how dare you pretend to be a ghost and threaten me? I'll take the elixirs from half your field as interest first. Next time, I'll have you get laid. It's so exciting to run after acting tough. Zhu Ke was very excited when his Taoist body ignited the Divine Escape spell. Kai. The Divine Escape spell was ignited, which distorted the space. However, after a moment, Zhu Ke's smile froze on his face. The spell turned to ashes in his hand, but he was still surrounded by those familiar elixir fields. Zhu Ke was dumbfounded immediately. The Divine Escape spell. Failed. This spell, which is always functional, failed this time. Now I'm done. I can't escape after acting tough. Chapter 655. Unacceptable. Zhu Ke could feel that he had been surrounded by the extremely cold air, and sweat covered his forehead. He was not afraid, but now he was feeling rather embarrassed. He thought this time he could act tough perfectly. Since he had already taken more than half of the elixirs, he planned to run away as soon as he left a message for that beautiful Taoist nun. Even if the Taoist nun ran after him, he could safely escape with the divine tracking emblem. However, he was now in a bad situation. He had no idea why the divine tracking emblem wasn't working. He had already managed to activate the divine tracking emblem, but the void did not change at all. Zhu Ke summoned out the system. System, you're awful. Tell me what on earth is going on? Why isn't divine tracking emblem working? Now Zhu Ke could tell that if the Taoist nun exerted all her power, he could be easily killed. Ding. The restriction here is very powerful. If you want to leave this place, you should use the heavenly divine tracking emblem. Before this, you need to upgrade the system to version 10.0. What the hell? Are you kidding me? Zhu Ke was furious. I spent almost 60,000 acting tough points upgrading the system from version 3.0 to version 5.0. Now, to buy a heavenly divine tracking emblem, I'll have to spend more acting tough points to upgrade the system to version 10.0. He was becoming more and more upset. If I had known things would turn out like this, I would never have picked up so many holy herbs, not to mention quarrel with the Taoist nun. She was far different from Liu Jingning, who was a woman of the 9th level of the void training stage and who could stand others' jokes. The Taoist nun was too powerful for any words. Zhu Kai could tell that the nun's intention to kill him was getting stronger and stronger. Sister, you are as beautiful and powerful as a fairy. I think there has been a misunderstanding between us. Yes, I picked up many holy herbs, but I did it for you. From now on, you don't need to pick them by yourself. Nonsense, how shameless you are. Zhu Kai heard someone sneering in the stone room. The next minute, the nun's murderous intent erupted out and changed into a 3-foot bronze cooking vessel that was flying toward Zhu Kai. Seeing this, he was shocked. I never thought her feelings could materialize and change into a cooking vessel. This woman is really scary. All of a sudden, Zhu Kai's Taoist body practiced the 3000 volts lightning and escaped along with Zhu Kai. The bronze cooking vessel hit the ground and shattered into pieces. In the blink of an eye, the numerous pieces changed into countless sharp swords and flew toward Zhu Kai. My goodness, this is insane! Zhu Kai exclaimed. He quickly practiced the fully developed killer book and the all-character secret to strengthen the power of the 3000 volts lightning and quickly dodged the flying sharp swords. However, wherever Zhu Kai went, the swords followed. He thought they were definitely going to kill him. Please stop. I think there must be some misunderstanding between us. Zhu Kai was desperate. He had never met someone like this before. You are such a heavenly beauty. Could you please let me finish my words? I really came to meet you and show you my respect. I don't have any bad intentions at all. You know what? Someone wants to set you up. He's a thug named Wanjude. He's trying to break the restriction spells. And once he manages to do that, he will kill you. I came here to help you. Wanjude? Suddenly, the woman seemed confused, and all the sharp swords stopped. Seeing this, Zhu Kai was amazed. Yes, that's right. Wanjude wants to set you up and kill you. He's a thug who has done lots of bad things. He once kicked old people in the elderly home in the South Continent and punched kindergarten children in the East Continent. And now he wants to kill you. If I were you, I would never allow this happen. Hearing this, the woman sneered. Nonsense, I don't think he has the balls to kill me. The swords began to move again and were about to hit Zhu Kai. I'm not joking, he shouted. See it for yourself. He's breaking the restrictions right at the moment. If I'm lying, then I'm your father. No, 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 if I lied to you, then I'm not a man. I would be a male god, he secretly thought. The sharp swords finally stopped and it was extremely quiet in the stone house. Zhu Kai could clearly feel the magnificent mind power of the woman spreading out around him. How dare him? She said coldly. As my disciple, how can he break my rules? Hearing this, Zhu Kai was surprised. What? Wanjude is your disciple? What the hell is going on? Wanjude? That bastard is her disciple? This is impossible. He is my disciple. But I kicked him out of my faction. He is simply not qualified. As for you, you aren't much better than him. Go to hell. The swords moved towards Zhu Kai again. He became furious and shouted, wait, you can kill me if you really insist, but you should at least tell me why you're going to kill me. Otherwise, I can't die peacefully. That's not my concern. She sneered. You think you're more powerful than me, so you can bully me like this? Zhu Kai said boldly. But you know what? With my talent, it won't be too long before I surpass you. You think I will give you more time and wait until you become more powerful? She asked coldly. I don't mean this. I simply want to ask you 3 questions. If you can answer them all, I will kill myself. This was an act. He was hoping he could outwit her and buy enough time with his questions to drain her energy and get some answers. After a while, the woman said, fine, go ahead. Hearing this, Zhu Kai was relieved. She is powerful, but she is naive. I never thought I could so easily cheat her. Let's see how you answer my 3 questions. Zhu Kai was feeling much better. The woman was indeed powerful, but it seemed that she did not have too much contact with others and seldom went to places where people lived. So she was inexperienced and much less clever than Zhu Kai. If the woman was a rather foxy and powerful cultivator, she would have never agreed to waste her time answering his questions. Zhu Kai walked forward. First question, What do you call a door made of wood? What a silly question. I thought you would ask some difficult questions. Well, a door made of wood is a wooden door. The woman was a bit cross and felt Zuke was messing around with her. Second question. What do you call a door made of iron? An iron door. One more question and I'll kill you. Accept it. The woman was getting more and more impatient. Zuke smiled and asked, last one. What do you call a door that leads to happiness? She trailed off. Wait a minute. This is not right. There can't be a door that leads to happiness. While the woman was thinking, Zuke's Taoist body took this opportunity to run to the entrance, together with Zuke. You think you can run away like this? Zuke was about to reach to the golden light shield, but right at this moment, the woman realized Zuke was tricking her. All of a sudden, a magnificent power crashed into Zuke. You broke your words. You promised me you would let me go if you failed to answer the question. Zuke shouted while running toward the entrance. There is no answer to the last question since there is simply no such a door in this world, the woman said coldly. Because of the burden of her magnificent power, Zuke's speed slowed down. There is. The door that leads to happiness is called woman. All of a sudden, Zuke could feel the burden weaken a bit. Obviously, the woman was surprised by the answer. Right at this moment, Zuke summoned back his Taoist body and rushed toward the golden light shield. Bang! The golden light shield twisted and Zuke managed to run through it. Meanwhile, a terribly beautiful woman walked out from the stone house. She coldly looked in the direction where Zuke had gone and coldly said, "You are Zuke, right? Good. Once my soul is complete again, I will leave here and hunt you down." Zuke quickly ran to the foot of the mountain, seeing Liu Jingning and Buttface waiting for him. He finally was relieved. Zuke looked at the sky and cursed, "Dwajude, FCK your master." Chapter 656, Are you psycho? Zuke dashed out and cursed angrily, which shocked Liu Jingning and Buttface. Little brat, what happened? Why are you in such a panic after taking out an elixir? Buttface asked suspiciously. I met a tough opponent. Forget it, I don't want to talk about it. I've got the humanoid fruit. Zuke said when he took out a red human-shaped fruit from the system package. Originally, he'd planned to tell them about the woman in Taoist robes. After thinking about it carefully, he realized that this issue had been caused by the mistake he'd made first. If he hadn't annoyed that woman in Taoist robes with his rude words, she might not have driven him out forcibly. Because he didn't want to come back empty-handed, and because he'd counted on his divine escape spells, he drew in half of the elixir fields and had uttered so many ruthless words. As a result, he'd almost lost his life after acting tough. It was not a glorious deed, so he chose to omit it. Liu Jingning took the humanoid fruit calmly and glanced at Zuke with concern. Little brat, you're not wounded, right? Wounded? Are you kidding? I am invincible. Zuke exclaimed with raised eyebrows. However, deep in his heart, he was not confident in saying that. This time he'd managed to escape using his wisdom. Anyone else in his position would have been killed on the spot. He was greatly shocked. Although one couldn't tell the age of a cultivator from their face, Dwajude should at least be hundreds of years old, maybe even 1,000 years old. As his master, the woman in Taoist robes was at least several thousand years old. How could a woman of several thousand years old have such a pretty face and sexy body? This was totally unbelievable. How much do you know about this mystery land? Why is it so mysterious? Zuke looked at Liu Jingning and Buttface. He wanted to know the history of this mystery land because it might be related to the woman in Taoist robes. After all, he could now basically confirm that the woman had stayed in the elixir fields for many years. Otherwise, her strength would have shocked the entire world of cultivators, let alone her amazing appearance and temperament. This mystery land is hard to understand. It has existed since ancient times. People say it was spotted by a powerhouse whose name was Immortal Tai Yuan. He composed a notebook on it, which stated that this mystery land has 9 layers. The 9th layer is connected to the world of celestials. No one has ever reached the 9th layer. Therefore, this place is called the Tai Yuan Mystery Land. Liu Jingning said. That was all she knew. Buttface had his nose in the air. He aloofly crossed his paws over his chest. You're wrong. From what I know, this mystery land is a fragment of a small world. During the war between celestials and demons in the ancient times, part of the battlefield was smashed, which fell down and landed in this area. A world fragment? How could that be? Liu Jingning was shocked. Zhu Ke also frowned. What Buttface said was too incredible. It is absolutely true, Buttface said confidently. I bought an ancient book from a street peddler. It said so in that book. Zhu Ke twitched. How do you know a story in a book you bought from a street peddler is true? I can believe it's true, can't I? Buttface said. Bang! Zhu Ke kicked Buttface. If this dog went several days without being beaten, he became arrogant. However, he didn't continue his investigation. No matter what this mystery land was, Liu Jingning and Buttface only had very limited information about it and couldn't make it clear. Moreover, people didn't know Wanjude's history or background, let alone who his master was. It seemed they weren't from this era or the four continents. Okay, little brat. Since you've got what you want, let's hurry to the third layer. We can't waste too much time here. Buttface urged. Are you planning to go to the third layer? Liu Jingning asked in surprise. Zhu Ke nodded. Yes, do you want to join us? Liu Jingning was stunned. Then, she shook her head with a wry smile. We can't reach the third layer. Why not? This area is too large. If we had 5 or 6 years, we might be able to reach the third layer. Now we only have 2.5 years left. Even if we do our best, we could reach the central area of the second layer at most. Buttface jumped up proudly and, with a smile, said, that's because you're weak. I know a shortcut that directly leads to the third layer by bypassing the second layer. A shortcut? Zhu Ke and Liu Jingning asked at the same time. Buttface nodded. Exactly. It's a waterway. The river water flows upward. We only need a boat to reach the third layer. Are you talking about the upflowing sea in the first layer? Liu Jingning asked in surprise. Buttface was about to nod his head, but hesitated. With wide eyes he said, its name is not the upflowing sea. It's just a small river called the Upflowing River. Liu Jingning looked at Buttface with a curious expression and said, it's recorded that it used to be called the Upflowing River many years ago. But now it's a sea, and not all the sea water flows up. Now it's a place for strength competition among the big families and sects. A sea? Holy SHT. How is that possible? Buttface asked. Zhu Ke was also shocked. A place for strength competition among the big families and sects? What does that mean? After pondering it for a while, Liu Jingning smiled and said, you can come with me to have a look. I'll tell you more on the way. The competition will start in the next few days. Zhu Ke nodded immediately. Okay. He was quite curious about how a river had been turned into a sea. How could the sea water flow up? This was so amazing. Maybe there were precious treasuries in the sea. Led by Liu Jingning, they left that creepy mountain and started to dash toward the central area. Zhu Ke didn't want to inform Wanjude. He worried that if Wanjude broke the restrictive spells, that woman in Taoist robes would come out and give him a hard time. In addition, now he'd obtained 5 Genesis herbs. He only needed to locate the living holy water. Therefore, he needed nothing to do with Wanjude now. He had to stay away from that shameless old man to avoid staining his pure heart. However, when they got around the mountain and were about to fly to the central area, they passed through the sky above Wanjude and the rest of the crowd. Many holy sons and holy virgins had left. Only several people were still there. They wanted to witness Wanjude break the restrictive spells. When Wanjude's work was halfway finished, his hand vibrated abruptly. Then, he stood there in a daze. The next moment, he cried something in a sharp voice with his old face full of terror. Master, holy SHT, little sister, please fly faster. We can't stay here for a long time. Hearing Wanjude's cry, a horrified Zhu Ke urged Liu Jingning to speed up immediately, for he thought the woman in Taoist robes was about to come out. Bang! Just at this moment, a big bang came in from below. Wanjude had been blown away. He fell hard on the ground. Then, he stood up in fear and started to flee helter-skelter as he loudly screamed, Master, this is a misunderstanding. It's definitely a misunderstanding. I didn't know you were here. But why are you still alive? Ah, hardly had Wanjud finished his words when he cried miserably again. He was blown off by another formless force. What is going on? Liu Jingning was dumbfounded as she watched from the sky. Does Wanjud have a master? Wanjud was more powerful than cultivators at the form synthesis stage. If he still had a master, how powerful would that guy be? Could this guy be a cultivator at the crossing calamity stage or the great vehicle stage? Or could this guy be a celestial? Wanjud was still being beaten up. No matter how hard he tried to escape, he was repeatedly hit by formless force in the air. As he cried miserably, he started babbling like a psycho. Master, please stop. I was expelled by you. What makes you beat me up? Ouch. Master, it's got nothing to do with me. A guy named Izuke forced me to break the restrictive spells on the mountain. You should vent your rage on him. Yes, it's him. Zuke. What? You also know him? Huh? You want me to catch him? No. Master, you always keep your distance from men, right? Why are you suddenly interested in a young man? Are you going to become an ordinary woman and have a passionate romance? No, I can't bless this marriage. I would rather die than call him master's wife. Ah, before Wanjud finished his words, he was blasted off mercilessly. This time he spat blood. Apparently, his words had completely annoyed his master, who punished him ruthlessly. In the sky, Zuke was urging Liu Jingning to leave this place as soon as possible. However, when he heard Wanjud address him as master's wife, he was also annoyed, so he angrily cursed. Wanjud, FCK your master. Are you psycho? I'm a man. Why did you call me master's wife? Chapter 657. Flirting. Zuke's voice was so loud that everyone present heard. It was so shocking that even Wanjud stopped running and looked at Zuke in surprise. Some of the holy sons and holy virgins were also stunned. He said he wants to FCK his master. Wanjud is so old that his master must also be an old guy. His taste is really peculiar. Zuke, now you're finished. Wanjud got up and pointed at Zuke. Master. He's the one who forced me to break the restrictions. He's the one you should hit. You're too noisy. A female voice boomed. Wanjud was suddenly slammed to the ground by a magnificent power and could not move at all. Master, please be gentle to me. Show some mercy. Wanjud screamed with pain. I have worked so hard to live this long. How can you be this harsh to me? Seeing this, everyone present was shocked and could not believe their eyes. He has been notorious all these years and has never been treated like this. Even Liu Jingning was surprised and murmured, is it possible that he lost his mind? After all, no one could hear Wanjud's master's voice. What they could see and hear, however, was Wanjud shouting and running around like mad. Zuke knew what was really going on. He stayed quiet and tugged on Liu Jingning's clothes, warning her to be quiet. I said something really bad to that woman. I will definitely be killed if she spots me. I should leave here immediately. Soon, Wanjud became quiet and gently moved his lips, as if he was sending some voice messages to someone. Master, you were saying the restrictions of the 4 continents are about to fall apart? He was shocked. Yes, my soul has been recovering rather quickly these days. I can feel the rule of this world is changing. The mysterious place I am now will soon reveal itself to the world. By then, both this place and the 9 death traps will cause a bloody fight for many people. Hearing this, Wanjud grew rather excited. I see. This explains why the young people of this generation managed to make so much improvements in their cultivation so quickly. Just as you said, the rule of the world has changed. Their Taoist connotations were not as flawed as ours were. Once the restriction falls apart, they could even make greater improvements. Don't be too positive about this. His master said coldly. Many old and powerful figures will soon awake and take control of this region. By the way, you have indeed made lots of improvement in your cultivation, even if you are in a world with restrictions. My dearest master, you have no idea how miserable I am. I don't have food to eat or a place to live. Wherever I go, I am bullied. Anyway, I really have to thank Zuke. Without his help, I could not possibly have made so much improvement, Wanjud said gratefully. Hearing this, Wanjud's master sneered. He's no different from you. Both of you are indecent men. If you were not my disciple, I would have killed you by now. How dare you speak good of him in front of me? Master, you misunderstood me. I've never liked that young man, but I have to say that he is really quite something. He cooked a piece of meat and put it into a bun. I ate it and I managed to grow much stronger. How peculiar. Yes, I swear I am telling the truth. But you should be more careful. That young man is really foxy. Don't be seduced by him. I really don't want to call him master. You are talking nonsense. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. If you dare speak like this again, I promise I will kill you. Yes. Wanjud instantly stopped talking and sweat oozed from his forehead. No matter how powerful he was, in front of his master, he was as weak as an ant. That young man is bold but has such a bad character. I intended to ask you to bring him here and put him to death. Since you say he is quite something, I think I can at least allow him to live a few more days. Master, please kill him. Don't spare his life. We shall end this topic now. Before I come, stalk him. I think he might be helpful to me in the future. Now, you shall leave. Wanjud hurriedly sent a last voice message. My goodness, master, please change your mind. That young man would not be useful to you at all. His master gave no reply. Wanjud was rather frustrated, as he had no idea what his master really meant. She asks me to stalk Zuke, spy on him and protect him before she comes? This is a nightmare. It's as if I have lost my own freedom. Thinking of this, Wanjud grew extremely angry. He stared at Zuke and shouted, FCKU, get down from there. I'm going to kill you. Why on earth did you disturb my master? Zuke rolled his eyes. It's none of your business, he shouted back. He then looked at Liu Jingning and said in a low voice, let's leave here now. Liu Jingning quickly practiced an inscription. The next minute, a black mist appeared beneath their feet and they began to move fast. You think you can run away like this after all you have done to me? It's because of you that I have lost my freedom. It's all your fault. Wanjud began to catch up with Zuke. I told you that it's none of my business, Zuke replied. Hearing this, Wanjud became furious. Get down, it is your business. FCK your master. I shall not get down, and what can you do about it? My God, why are you so shameless? Wanjud was so angry that his nose got extremely red. Even so, he could not kill Zuke. Instead, he would have to protect him, just as his master had told him to. Little KK, what on earth is going on? Liu Jingning asked. She was very curious when she heard Wanjud's mentioning his master. Zuke sighed. Well, I went to fetch the humanoid fruit, and I accidentally offended a tough figure. I was actually nearly killed. You mean the tough figure you met is Wanjud's master? Liu Jingning was greatly surprised and was sure that Wanjud had indeed been talking with his master just now. I said something that angered her and stole her elixir, he said unhappily. If it were not for my being extremely smart, I would have already been killed. Hearing this, Liu Jingning was shocked. She had never thought Zuke was willing to risk his life to bring the humanoid fruit to her. Considering what he had done, she was a bit moved. Thank you. It's no big deal. Zuke waved his hand, pretending that it was not a big deal, but in fact, he was feeling rather embarrassed. If he hadn't offended Wanjud's master, he would not be fleeing. All this time, Liu Jingning had thought of Zuke as young and reckless, and believed that he would have been killed by now if it were not for his being extremely powerful. She never thought Zuke would risk his life to secure the humanoid fruit she needed. If I hadn't asked him, he might not have even told me what was going on. He was just in a very dangerous situation and, thank God, he managed to escape. Liu Jingning filled with gratitude and suddenly felt like she might have a crush on this young man. But when she remembered that Zuke was only 20, she immediately suppressed her feelings for him. The man she wanted was not someone with such a reckless character as Zuke. She hoped that someday in the future, she would meet a gentleman strong enough to protect her, a person who could only be challenged by herself, and when she grew old, she could live in quietly seclusion with her future husband. She never realized that she had already started considering Zuke the man of her dreams. That was why she could not stop herself from flirting with him. Whenever she saw his angry face, she felt extremely happy. As for Zuke, he had no idea that Liu Jingning had a crush on him. A few days later, the three finally reached the deep part of the central area in the first floor of the Mystery Land and stopped in front of an enormous sea. The turbulent seawater was full of huge waves flying upward. It looked as if there was no end to it. "So this is the upflowing sea?" Zuke exclaimed. "This is the most bizarre thing I have ever seen. If Isaac Newton knew about this, he would definitely jump out of his coffin." Countless cultivators were gathering around the sea. Each influential faction was there, fixing their boats and preparing to set sail. "Holy SHT!" Buttface shouted. "When does this place become like this?" He was so surprised that his two eyes had grown to the size of lanterns. Seeing this, Liu Jingning shook her head. "No one really knows. Since this place flooded with water, no one could ever go to the third floor. There are currently 18 islands in the sea, and on each island, there is a living holy tree. Once every 100 years, the living holy water will ooze out and gather under the tree and form a pond. The water can be used to make potions and magic weapons, and it can help cultivators heal their wounds in the blink of an eye. However, there is not that much living holy water and not everyone can get it. Due to this, the cultivators from all the influential factions have made this place a battlefield, and only those whose name is at the top of the list of winners can get the water." Suddenly, Liu Jingning became worried. She saw that her own faction was here. Considering that her faction was not as powerful as the others, it would not be that easy for her faction to win. As for Zuke, he was stunned by the scene in front of him and was very excited. "The living holy water. I have been looking for it for so long. I am really lucky to find it here. Now that I have collected all the spiritual herbs, if I can get the living holy water, I can make the 9 revolutions revival fluid and bring Zhao back to life. I can even rebuild her body and make it into the 5 elements chaotic body." "Let's go then," Zuke said, clenching his fists. Chapter 658. Upflowing Sea Competition. Go to the sea? Liu Jingning and Buttface were both stunned, then they were shocked by Zuke's decision. "Are you going to take part in the competition?" Liu Jingning asked in surprise. Zuke smiled. "Originally, I'd planned to just rob the living holy water. Since there's a competition, I'd like to take part. After all, I'm a good boy who always follows the rules." Liu Jingning ignored Zuke's boasting and said, "Even if you want to take part in the competition, I'm afraid you don't have enough time to prepare. Now, where can we find a suitable ship? Even if I go with you, we still don't have enough people to sail the ship to the small island." It was quite an easy task for a cultivator to build a ship. However, this sea was extraordinary. Ordinary wooden ships could be smashed by the waves instantly. Therefore, all the ships prepared by the big families and sects for this competition were refined magic artifacts made of the hardest woods. Being protected by various restrictive spells, the ships were steered by several powerhouses at the void training stage who kept strengthening the ships with the true core strength. The remaining crew was responsible for paddling so the ship could sprint forward. Zuke had no ship and was short-handed. How could he take part in the competition? Hey. Ironic laughter floated over. "Don't tell me you're also going to take part in the competition." Dong Genji and several geniuses of the Carefree Building walked over and looked at Zuke with sarcastic smiles. Dong Genji used to be afraid of Zuke. When he realized the relationship between Zuke and Wan Jude was not as he'd originally believed, he was relieved. They heard that Zuke also wanted to take part in the competition when they passed by. He couldn't help but laugh. How could an ordinary person sail in the upflowing sea? It was nothing but seeking death. At this moment, another dubious voice chimed. "What? How could an ordinary person be here?" A tall and strong man with 2 horns on his head walked over. His body gave off an overbearing momentum. Beside him, several women of the half-demon clan were curiously staring at Zuke. All of them were surprised. It was simply irrational to see an ordinary person in this area. "Brother Ox?" This is not an ordinary person, it's more accurate to say that he is a waste of a person. Dong Genji said with a smile. It seemed Dong Genji knew Horned Man. The Horned Man was confused. What do you mean? Dong Genji smiled cruelly. It might sound unbelievable, but not long ago, this Lord Zuke here used to be a sovereign at the infant transformation stage. A destroyed his cultivation because he failed to cultivate his Taoist connotation. He hated Zuke and Buttface to the core. Therefore, he would never miss an opportunity to kill and, at the very least, mock at them. Building head Dong, it was a bit too much to say that. Liu Jingning was annoyed by his words. She started defended Zuke with furrowed eyebrows. Holy Virgin Liu, Dong Genji said with a smile. He's just a waste person. Is it really necessary for you to defend him? Liu Jingning's face darkened. She was about to say something when the Horned Man walked over to her cheerfully. He folded his hands and said, Holy Virgin Liu, long time no see. I would appreciate your guidance during the upcoming competition in the upflowing sea. He started to chat with Liu Jingning and ignored Zuke. His greedy eyes were fixed on Liu Jingning's body. Liu Jingning's face was even darker. Anyone else who dared to be so rude to her would have been killed instantly. However, she was quite afraid of the man in front of her. The man's strength, as well as his family, were stronger than her in the Utopia faction. Therefore, she couldn't afford to offend him. My fellow cultivator Ox, please don't make fun of our Utopia faction. Liu Jingning said coldly. I'm afraid this time the Ox family will at least enter the top 3 during this competition. The Horned Man wore a proud smile. Holy Virgin Liu, if you don't mind, the Ox family is always ready to cooperate with the Utopia faction. Cooperation? Liu Jingning was stunned. This proposal was quite attractive. However, when she saw the man's thoughtful smile, she calmed down. This cooperation would only happen at a high cost. Exactly. Cooperation between us. The Horned Man nodded with a smile. Holy Virgin Liu, there are too many irrelevant people here. Can you come to the Ox family's area? We can have a detailed discussion with Building Head Dong. Liu Jingning was about to reject this offer without even thinking about it. Just at this moment, Zuke and Buttface stepped out and looked at the Horned Man greedily. Brother Ox? Are you an ox? Zuke asked as he fixed his eyes on the man. It looked as if he were appreciating a beauty. The man frowned immediately. He was quite uncomfortable with Zuke's gaze and felt goosebumps rise on his skin. In order to show due respect to Liu Jingning, he quietly replied, I am a heaven horn ox of the South Continent and I have the bloodline of the ancient divine ox in my body. Holy SHT. Buttface shouted in surprise. He really is an ox. His eyes lit up and he started to drool. I am a heaven horn ox. The man corrected in an unpleasant voice. An ox was not even close to a heaven horn ox. After examining Zuke and Buttface's expressions, Liu Jingning got a bad feeling in her heart. She knew the two of them were about to cause trouble. Zuke, I still have something urgent to handle with the Utopia faction, Liu Jingning said immediately. Let's go back together. She walked away, grabbing Zuke's arm without hesitation. She was really worried that Zuke was about to cause trouble. After all, the Heaven Horn Ox tribe was quite powerful in the South Continent. It could even match the big families like the Zhang family and the Gong family. More importantly, they were in the South Continent, where the Heaven Horn Ox tribe had a lot of power. Once they offended the Heaven Horn Ox tribe, it almost meant they would offend the entire South Continent. As they left, the man of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe watched with a dark face and ferocious eyes. Dong Genji smiled, quite satisfied with the current situation. Just at this moment, they faintly heard the conversation between Zuke and Buttface. Little brat, did you see that? He's really an ox. Of course, I really miss those beef balls. Me too. Also, I miss the pan-fried beef steak with black pepper. I really want to eat them now. What's a beef steak? I haven't eaten one before. Of course you haven't eaten one before. It's a kind of Western-style food, which also includes the fillet steak, the sirloin steak and the beef ribs with secret ingredients, and so on. When the beef is medium rare, you pour black pepper sauce on it. Wow, it's extremely delicious. Oh, No, the more we talk about it, the hungrier I feel. Why don't we go back? Okay, awesome. Buttface drooled while nodding. Bang! Liu Jingning knocked Buttface's head and, embarrassed, hissed, "Can both of you stop making trouble?" She was astonished. They were planning to eat that Heaven Horn Ox. The man of the Heaven Ox tribe, who had clearly heard their entire conversation, was so furious that he trembled with anger. "They are seeking death," he said through clenched his teeth. "Brother Ox, please calm down. They will have no chance to escape during the upflowing sea," Dong Genji said with a delighted smile. He didn't think this was a good place to kill Zuke. Zuke would definitely not have came to this place without preparation. He had probably prepared an ace card, or he could probably just escape with his spells. However, the space in the upflowing sea was confined. Zuke could never escape. If he attacked Zuke with people of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe on the sea, they would surely kill him there. "You meet your death when the competition begins tomorrow," Dong Genji said, his eyes two chilly lights watching at Zuke and Liu Jingning walk away. Liu Jingning didn't dare take Zuke back to the area of the Utopia faction. She didn't even plan on going back. She found a place with fewer people and sat down in front of Zuke. "Little brat, we can't afford to offend the Heaven Horn Ox tribe," she said, staring at Zuke seriously. "Otherwise, you'll be in a more dangerous situation than when you were in the East Continent. We can stay here for now. When the competition begins tomorrow, and all the powerhouses have gone out to sea, we'll leave here immediately." Zuke's eyes widened. "Leave here? Why should we leave here? I'm also going to take part in the competition." "Exactly." Buttface agreed. "Why should we leave here? I haven't tasted the steaks yet." Liu Jingning angrily rolled her eyes. Shaking her head, she said, "Little brat, this isn't a game. Without a ship or enough people, you can't go in the upflowing sea. If you fall into the water, all your vital energies will be devoured immediately. Little sister, please don't worry about me. I have at least 100 ways to cross this upflowing sea, and I can defeat those guys easily. Tomorrow, you'll see. I'll be the one getting the living holy water." Zuke smiled confidently. He glanced at the big ship docked at the seaside, and a suddenly bit of disdain pulled down his lips. "A rowing race? Can your shabby ships match up with me? I don't use paddles to row a boat. I only use waves, and I will definitely be the ultimate king of tough acting." Chapter 659, He is indeed crazy. Soon, Zuke got busy preparing for tomorrow. In case he was disturbed, he lied to Liu Jingning and Buttface and told them that he was going to build a ship. Then he hid himself and began to put his dirty plan into action. Zuke bought a surfboard from his system market and threw it directly into the sea, where it was immediately crushed. The upflowing sea is very destructive. Just as Liu Jingning had said, to sail on the upflowing sea, Zuke had to make a strong ship and strengthen it with some sort of restriction incantations. Therefore, Zuke decided to hide himself from Liu Jingning and Buttface and secretly bought many things from the system market. He also strengthened them with restriction incantations. Since the system had already been updated to version 5.0, anything sold in the market could be automatically strengthened with the restriction incantation. However, it took around 500 acting tough points to set one restriction incantation, which was rather expensive. Although the restriction incantation of the system was not that advanced, it was still more than enough to counter the upflowing sea. That night, Zuke spent almost 10,000 acting tough points, which accounted for more than half of all the acting tough points he had. In the end, he only had around 2,000 left. Soon, the sun came up and a new day began. All the cultivators around the upflowing sea had worked very hard for a whole night to prepare for the sailing. The time for the battle in the sea had finally arrived. Since the winning factions could get more living holy water, all the cultivators took the battle very seriously. Some cultivators from influential factions were still busy making preparations for the sailing, while others were secretly finding allies. After all, once they stepped into the upflowing sea, it would not be easy to turn around. The battle was going to last for about 2 months, and during this time the sea was at its calmest. This did not mean that there would be no waves. Instead, all the waves moved in the same direction, so there were no vortexes or random currents. Once 2 months went by, the sea would become very turbulent, countless currents and vortexes would appear, and anyone or any boat would be devoured once drawn to them. Therefore, during this period when the sea was comparatively calm, all the cultivators would sail in the upflowing sea to get the living holy water with the belief they could emerge safely. Zhu Ke also believed this, so he spent a huge amount of acting tough points buying things from the system market. He planned to take this opportunity to act tough and to get lots of acting tough points. Also, he wanted to sail across the upflowing sea and go to the 3rd floor. Little KK, are you really going to the sea? Do you really think you can come back safely? Liu Jingning asked Zhu Ke as soon as he returned. She was very worried about Zhu Ke and believed that he had not realized the seriousness of the battle. Once Zhu Ke stepped into the sea, he not only had to fight against the sea, but he had to also fight against other cultivators. Once he was surrounded by other cultivators, his boat would probably collide with others and sink. Hearing this, Zhu Ke smiled with confidence. Don't worry, as long as you are with me, you will be fine. Liu Jingning sighed. Then show me your boat. Here. Zhu Ke said while taking out a surfboard and holding it vertically next to him. Seeing this, both Liu Jingning and Buttface were stunned. A board? You spent a whole night preparing and a board is all you've got? This is my boat, Zhu Ke said proudly. Liu Jingning could not believe her ears and was about to faint. Buttface rolled his eyes and shook his head. Are you insane? You call a board a boat? Even if the upflowing sea is still an upflowing river, you cannot possibly cross it with a board. Don't be daft. This is called a surfboard, which is meant for sailing. Zhu Ke raised his head proudly. Suddenly, Zhu Ke heard Wanjudes laughing. Oh my goodness, look at him. Look how stupid he is. He thinks he can cross the sea with a board. Do you want to commit suicide? Zhu Ke did not pay attention to him and smiled at Liu Jingning. Young lady, you frown too much. Relax. Otherwise, people will think I've been bullying you. Hearing this, Liu Jingning stared at him. Who said I am worried about you? I am only concerned about my own safety. The board is such a tiny one. How can 2 of us possibly stand on it together? I mean, I will sail with this board, not you. Once I manage to get in, I will send someone to pick you 2 up. No, I can't allow you go alone. Liu Jingning frowned, not believing that Zhu Ke could manage to get someone to pick them up once he got in. Most importantly, the board is too small. With the protection of the restriction incantation, even if the board is not be shredded by the waves, it could be flipped over at any moment. I can't possibly allow him to go alone on that. Hearing this, Wanjude was terrified. He had promised his master that he would keep Zhu Ke safe, so he had to keep Zhu Ke alive. Young man, think twice before you do anything. I know you have offended my master, which means that you will be killed soon, but really? There is no need for you to kill yourself in the sea. Before my master comes, you can still live for a while. Nonsense. Zhu Ke said angrily. Yes, I have offended your master, but she has also offended me, so she is the one who should jump into the sea. Hearing this, Wanjude sneered. Young man, I have to say that you are really courageous. You know my master is a tough figure. You think she has no idea that you are speaking ill of her? So what? I am proud of myself. I am a vain man, Zhu Ke said loudly. But in fact, he was feeling a bit scared. Can she actually hear what I just said? That woman is really frightening. Anyway, once she comes back to this world, you are doomed. It seemed Wanjude couldn't wait to see Zhu Ke die. Zhu Ke turned around and saw that some boats had already entered the water. Among them, there were a few rather huge ones that looked very grand. On one particular boat, there were around 30 cultivators standing on the deck. Seeing this, many people started shouting, "This is the Zhang family's boat." I knew it. A big family like this would never disappoint us. Still, I never thought the Zhang family would be able to make such a huge boat with floating cloud wood. The floating cloud wood will never sink and is full of the wood element spiritual chi, which can help them regenerate their true core strength faster. They look so ambitious. Judging by the boat and all the restriction incantations they have set up, they must have spent a few years preparing for today. I am sure they'll be listed in the top 3. By the way, the boat of the Heaven Horn Ox tribe from the South Continent is also very good. Their boat is made from the baileywood, which is as hard as a diamond. Look at the boat of the Dragon tribe from the North Continent. It is made of a dragon's bone. My goodness, the bone is thousands of years old. I can't believe they would take it out. Obviously, they also want to get into the top 3. Seeing the boats in the distance, Wanju laughed. It seems the battle this year will be much fiercer. Liu Jingning was shocked by the scene. Compared with those boats, the boat of her faction was completely overshadowed. Even so, Zhu Kei's so-called surfboard was worse. She turned around to see if Zhu Kei was still as confident as before, only to find that he had already disappeared. Where is he? She asked in surprise. Right at this moment, Wanju shouted, Holy SHT! Are you crazy? If you die, I am also going to be killed by my master. Liu Jingning saw Zhu Kei standing in the shore. Crikey! She hurriedly ran over to him. Seeing this, everyone present was shocked, in particular the Holy Sons and Holy Virgins on a board. What is he going to do? He has a board. Does he plan to use it to get on our boat? I don't think so. That board is full of restriction incantations. Is it possible that he wants to sail with that board? Is he insane? My God! Someone burst into laughter. Even Dong Genji and the cultivators from the Heaven Horn Ox tribe were stunned. In fact, they had all figured Zhu Kei would prepare very well for today. They never thought he would sail with a board. Look! A cultivator exclaimed as if he had seen a ghost. He's about to take off his clothes. Zhu Kei dropped the board on the shore and faced the sea. Then he began to take off his clothes, as if no one was around. It is only right to get into the water without any clothes on. Chapter 660. Nobody can stop me. This. Liu Jingning's little mouth opened and closed in disbelief. She was unable to figure out Zhu Kei's plan. He can go into the sea with a wooden plank, but why is he taking off his clothes? However, his muscly body is quite attractive. As she thought this, Liu Jingning blushed. Most of the holy virgins and female cultivators in this area were also bashful. Although all of them were cultivators, most of them focused on cultivation and seldom thought about physical pleasures. Therefore, they were quite conservative and outdated in these issues. Thus, Zhu Kei's action, which was quite normal on Earth, was outrageous here. How can he publicly take off his clothes? Is he insane? HMPH, what a pervert he is. A holy virgin spat with a blush. She couldn't help but fix her eyes on Zhu Kei's body curiously. His body had been strengthened by the god of hell's compulsion. Therefore, his muscles were perfect and very attractive. After taking off his clothes, his natural charm was instantly revealed. However, when Zhu Kei started to take off his pants, the onlooker's expression changed again. Is he really going to get naked? Zhu Kei, what are you doing? Liu Jingning ran over to him with a red face. With wide eyes, she tried to stop Zhu Kei from being disgraced in front of so many people. But Zhu Kei ignored the onlooker's reaction and chose to be a loose cannon. He might have once felt embarrassed about doing something like this, but now he had evolved into a completely shameless person. This was his Tao, doing anything at will. I want to surf in the sea. Why won't you allow me to wear a Speedo? You think this is absurd, but I think it's quite normal. That's enough for me to make a decision. Little sister, am I in a good shape? Zhu Kei asked with a smile. He even started showing off his muscle. Liu Jingning's face became even redder. Pervert. She spat. Put on your clothes. I'm gonna take off my pants. Zhu Kei said proudly and really started to take off his pants. The onlookers couldn't watch anymore, especially the young and aggressive male cultivators who started to feel jealous and unsure. They felt inferior in front of Zhu Kei's perfect figure and handsome face. Although Zhu Kei was a shameless pervert to most of the female cultivators in this area, many people could sense that these female cultivators weren't very furious. On the contrary, They kept staring at Zhu Kei's body. Some attractive mature female cultivators felt their breathing speed up after seeing Zhu Kei's body. It seemed their sexual desires were aroused. Behave yourself. How dare you act rudely in broad daylight? A pea set off. Middle-aged male cultivators scolded Zhu Quifter, noticing the beautiful female cultivator beside him had started to close her legs with far-off eyes. This is outrageous. A young holy son shouted in a deep voice. Why would an ordinary person act so wildly here? Now, kneel down and beg for mercy from us. I order you to put on your pants and clothes within 3 breaths. Then, you should crawl to me to face your death. Pressures from many people gushed toward Zhu Kei. However, Zhu Kei had prepared for this. His Taoist body, which was hiding not far from him, released formidable soul strength and smashed the pressures from everyone. The onlookers, who were shocked, turned their eyes to the Taoist body in surprise. When did this white-haired young man at the infant transformation stage appear? His soul strength is really powerful. HMPH, Zhu Kei, are you humiliating the East Continent? Dong Zhenji asked in a cold voice from the giant ship he stood on. The holy sons and holy virgins from the East Continent also stared at Zhu Kei coldly. Zhu Kei, don't cross the line. A holy son said, your grandstanding is useless here. You only expose yourself to ridicule. Kenji, the holy virgin of the illusionary flower and moon sect, hissed. Pull your pants up. Don't humiliate the East Continent. Zhu Kei smiled coldly and stepped forward. Then, he looked around and in a powerful voice shouted, I will kill anyone who tries to stop me from taking off my pants. Whoosh. After that, his pants fell on the ground and exposed a white Speedo. The Sailor Moon Speedo, after the host puts it on. This Speedo can add 3 points of charm to the host for women and 10 points of hatred for men. The only side effect, superb surfing skill. Attention, it is effective once the host is only wearing this Speedo. Price, 10 acting tough points. Zhu Kei had purchased the Speedo from the system. He was quite embarrassed about the patterns on it, but he had no other choice. This Speedo enhanced the user's surfing skill. With only the Speedo on, he looked quite coquettish and overbearing. If he wore this Speedo to surf, he would be a single red flower in the midst of thick foliage. At the same time, the whole area was in an uproar. After a short while of silence, many male cultivators couldn't help but curse angrily. FCK, damn, he really took his pants off. I've never seen such a shameless man. How could he draw a girl on his underpants? SHT, I really want his underpants. Buttface was really fond of Zhu Kei's Speedo. However, being greatly shocked, the female cultivators fixed their widened eyes on the little bulge in the central area of Zhu Kei's Speedo. It's so big. A beautiful lady murmured in a low, distracted voice. Whoosh, a gust of sea wind came in from afar. The sea calmed down abruptly. After that, all the surface ripples started to flow neatly upstream against the wind. They turned into layers of heavy waves moving upstream. The crowd finally came to. The quiet period of the upflowing sea has begun. The competition has started. Ignore that guy. Let's go. Anyway, he's going to die in the sea with just a small wooden plank. We don't need to kill him. Our Heaven Horn Ox tribe will enter the top 3 of this competition. As they spoke, countless ships set sail from the seaside like flying arrows. All these ships were protected by restrictive spells. After the crew activated their true core strength, these ships started generating a lot of force and moved forward rapidly. Apparently, compared to Zhu Kei's grandstanding, the living holy water was more attractive. Now no one cared about Zhu Kei. They did their best to speed up their ships to have a better position to form a defense line with their allies and avoid sneak attacks from their opponents. Zhu Kei smiled when he saw the ships doing their best to cross the sea. Has it started yet? Finally, it's showtime. He picked up his surfboard, ready to dash forward. With sharp eyes and deft hands, Liu Jingning grabbed his arm and said, you are not allowed to go. Little sister, if you don't let me go, I'll take off my Speedo. Zhu Kei grinned. Liu Jingning was stunned. Before she had time to react, Zhu Kei plucked himself from her and dashed toward the upflowing sea with his surfboard. Zhu Kei, you. Liu Jingning came to herself and wanted to stop him, but she was too late. Splash! Zhu Kai ran as if on wings and then jumped into the sea with a surfboard. The next moment, he fell on a surging wave, which rapidly gushed upstream. The wave held Zhu Kai up as he lied stomach down the surfboard. It's over. Liu Jingning's heart sank. This little brat is screwed. Buttface was also shocked. Damn. Wanjud cursed. This is bad. I knew nothing good would happen with this guy. He was about to rescue Zhu Kai. However, the next moment all of them were shocked. When the wave was about to fall, Zhu Kai suddenly stood on the surfboard. His feet were firmly pressed against the wood as if they had been nailed down. He squatted slightly and applied force on the surfboard, which changed its direction and angle immediately. The front end of the surfboard lifted up. Then, he and the surfboard flew along the huge wave. My gosh! Buttface shouted in surprise. Holy she! Wanjud screamed. Liu Jingning gaped at the sea. Splash! Zhu Kai landed on another huge wave steadily with a splash. Then, he again flew along the surging wave. It was like he'd become part of the surfboard. Like riding a flying sword, he started to fly on the tempestuous sea in a skilled and unrestricted way. He surfed up and down the waves and surpassed all the ships. His speed was out of their league. The entire area fell silent. The cultivators on the ships were dumbfounded by the scene.